Did we tell them?
Well, welcome. Yes, we are. We're back. People thought, by the way, it's worse than that because it's just Sean Albrecht now. Welcome to the CPTC LiveStream. And if you're watching, we're trying to get some ambient noise bear out on Court 2. But anyway, welcome to historic, picturesque, and historic Glencoe, Illinois, to Lakeshore Country Club. Woo! I'm only saying that because I am one of the staff members here, so I'll try to be as unbiased and as objective as possible as we go through this telecast. So as you're watching the teams warm up, it's going to be, as it always is, I don't like to use the word barn burner because it's such a cliche. But so we're going to say something else is going to be burning. We're not really sure what it is. Maybe it's just the fire pit, but here's the idea. Lakeshore is going to be taking on Michigan Shores tonight, and it promises to be a pretty cool and interesting match because the gentlemen on the other side, I was told, are hailing not only from Michigan Shores but from a series that is far lower on the totem pole, if you will, than Series 4, and yet they look like they've been here for a while, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, I want to welcome in my co-commentator, one of them anyway, who is the head pro here at lovely, majestic, I see I got it in there, Lakeshore Country Club, Spencer Caravaggio. Spencer, thank you for being with us through the air.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
No, you know what? It's a treat because it's actually what I was hoping for was that Matt McClure, the regular host for the CPTC live stream, along with me every so often if they can't get anybody else to show up. I'm just kidding. No, they just put me out there if somebody couldn't make it. But Matt is the director here, and we were going to hope that Matt would actually be playing on this court, which would be just special, at least for me. And he's not, but that's okay. We have Spencer here in his place in a way. And Spencer, you know what? Honestly speaking, if you see something that's not working, if you see something that, where maybe Doug Friedman needs to be talked to, I'm just kidding. You feel free to say something. And I only said that because I love Dougie, and Doug is one of the players for Lakeshore. So it is Doug Friedman, Charlie Phillips, and then is it Ernie Watros, Eddie Watros? Does anybody know that? I want to make sure.
I did not get the first name.
Okay,
I think
because Watros and Trapp have great strokes, by the way. This kid on the other side, obviously, I'm going to say he played some tennis. I think that's pretty obvious. But anyway, no, it's going to be awesome. So they're going to play 2 out of 3. And hopefully if Matt is able to get done with his match, he'll join us as well. I was going to try to sneak a phone call in, but I don't know if I'm legally allowed to do that.
Probably have to sign a waiver first.
Is that what? Okay, what? We got to watch us and try. Go ahead, just punch yourself in here. Go ahead. No, here, wait. First of all, we want to make sure we welcome Cal Noble, who is a venerable member of the team. As a matter of fact, if you think about it, we have 3 different generations here. I mean, I'm in my 50s. Matt, technically, obviously he's in his 30s. And Cal, what are you? 16? I'm sorry. What is it? 19. Okay, 19. Yeah. All right,
wow,
fine.
That makes me feel old.
So I could be his grandfather. Think about that for a second.
Stop.
One of us started driving recently, and the other one fought in World War I. So I just wanted to introduce that we have a
coming with the sass, Cal.
a scoreboard this week.
Is
Finally
that all from
working.
It is.
Mike Rahaley?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So we do have a scoreboard this time,
which is phenomenal. And Cal is manning the scoreboard at least 90% of the time. I'm probably going to have to. Okay? We'll make sure there is a mute button. I'm going to have to hit you with if you continue to make noises like that, Cal. But anyway, so the point is, I'm going to say that I will try to maintain who it is that is serving. That way, Cal and I will kind of double up on the duties for scoring, even though Cal's going to be doing 90% of the work. But that's usually the way it is around here for the production team for the CPTC live stream. Anyway, a beautiful night for paddle. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is a little too warm. Spencer?
Oh, I love it.
Okay,
I'm
good.
a warm weather paddle
Okay.
fanatic. I would prefer it to be warm than cold.
When you say warm, you mean what's temperature is warm? What does warm mean?
Well, really anything above 40 is pretty warm for paddle, or really anything above 35. But I love playing in like 70 degrees, which is definitely not the norm for people. But I'm a fan.
I'll embarrass Spencer a little bit in a good way.
boy.
No. Just she's won national titles. It's not as though she doesn't know what she's talking about. So is it weird to say that? Are a lot of other people at your level on the same page when you talk about playing warm weather paddle, or would they rather play?
That's a good question. I think it's totally based on game style.
Yeah.
So for me, I hit a pretty big ball. So if I'm going for FYMs or hitting some stuff for, my ball sits a little bit more.
Yes.
It serves sit up a little bit, so it's
Yes.
easier for me to tee off on when it's a little bit colder. You got to put a little bit more spin on the ball,
Sure.
which if you're hitting rollers, that's great, or hitting cutters and things like that. But I guess it just kind of depends. It's also easier to dig stuff out. Points go a little bit longer, being one of the younger members of the paddle community.
Very well put.
I don't mind if the point goes a little longer.
That was politically put. I like that.
Yeah, I think that's totally dependent. But the longer the match goes, I'm usually in good shape.
Do you find yourself, and we're reaching into this technical stuff, but do you find yourself serving underhand more in warm weather?
No,
or
when it's cold.
overhand? Really?
Yes. So,
Okay. Why would that be?
So the goal of the underhand serve is to keep it low.
Right.
So the colder it is, the less the ball bounces.
Gotcha.
So when it's
Wow.
as we can see, if it sits up, people can tee off on that that underhand serve pretty easily. It's also a little bit different. A huge difference between the men's and the women's game
Sure.
is the women drive spectacularly off the deck. I actually think we drive a little bit more off the deck sometimes than the men do.
You know what? You're right.
And the men have incredible screen drives. So for the women, I would rather a woman drive off the screen most of the time than drive off the deck. So we kick our serve a little bit more and try to get into the screen, where the guys, if they're hitting it into the screen, it's more like that thing bites and then flies out, where ours comes a little bit more in and out. So it just depends.
Well, I just noticed that because Michigan Shores, and I'm assuming that is Mr. Watros hitting the underhand serve to Doug Friedman.
That is Trap. So
Trap.
he's the
okay.
younger.
He's the younger one?
Yes, Watros is
a little bit older. Because I'm
just a smidge.
Thank you for saying that too. As a 50-plus-year-old, I'm so happy that we're being sensitive about the ageism. Because I'm not. Because when if I'm behind somebody older than me, I am all over them.
Oh well.
I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I probably.
Sometimes you got to take the win where you can.
Pulled off the. Okay, there we go. This is the famous Doug Friedman stretch, by the way. I've seen this more. I'm just saying.
That's so funny that you say that, because I've seen him do them all the time, but I would have never thought of it. But there's that one.
Yes.
And then we have in the women's game, we've got the famous Jane McNitt stretch, which
What
is
does she
also
do?
very similar. She is so dang flexible. She sticks her leg up on the screen and does a half split, and it's insane.
Wow.
Everyone's got their own thing, but that one reminds me a little bit of Jane's.
Wow. I'm not sure if we're going to get a live stream out of that one, but maybe Cal, I don't know. All right, so see now I've already broken the ice. I'm afraid to unmute Cal. Okay, so it looks like Phillips and Friedman are going to be serving first, and it looks like Charlie Phillips, because he's holding the ball.
That's what I was going to go with.
Yeah, thank you. That was my guess. Is probably going to be serving first. Always a strategy session before the match starts, after the warm-up session. And again, I'm just going to ask you, Spencer, when you're warming up, what is it that you look for, and what do you end up discussing with your partner?
So there's one thing specifically. I try to warm up from the net, and it's my reset overhead.
Sure.
If we need to get ourselves out of trouble, I need to be able to hit a reset almost always and be able to keep it low enough that people can't drive. And then the other thing that we want to look for as a partnership is where the weapon is over there. What's going to keep us out of trouble and what's going to really get us into trouble. Sometimes that even being a lob or, screenplay or whatever it is. That way when we start the match, we can go out with at least one definitive plan.
See, it's smart. Most people just warm up, just say, I get it loose.
Right.
But no, you're right. There should be an educated...
No caffeine, Spencer?
Sorry, no caffeine over there. Sorry, Charlie.
It's all right. And here's exactly why we probably need the mute button. But anyway, for Charlie. CC. By the way, we're already into the match, and where I want to say this is probably shot number 9, 10 right here. I jinxed Mr. Watros there. And I'm not even sure what his first name is, but we'll be introduced after the match. Hopefully he'll be in a good mood.
I feel I was going to say Greg, but I don't think that's it.
Awesome. Good leave. You know, every so often, and I'm just going to say, is look at Dougie.
They're quick.
Sit down. Just kind of a rhythmic thing after a while. The only reason I say that is because there's going to be tendencies. Wouldn't you agree with that, Spencer? There's going to be tendencies that you'll see pretty much in everybody. And the better the player, probably the more pitches or the more shots, or the more shot selection they have. But for the most part, you'll see tendencies pretty much in everybody.
Definitely, and I think something you have tendencies, but it's learning when to pull the trigger and when not to. I think the better that you get, even if you don't have a super wide variety of shot selection, that you still use certain things more than others and at certain times, and
sure,
being selective with your shot.
Absolutely.
Like for Charlie, probably doesn't hit that serve again.
That probably is one of the reasons why he probably just faulted there, because that screen drive was huge.
That's what I mean. So that he hasn't hurt them off the deck yet, but off the screen drive, totally different story.
Mashing. That makes so much sense. It's so much fun to see it demonstrated after you described it.
It's always nice when we have a teachable moment. People do things that I actually say.
Well, usually we call it the commentator's curse. You say something. This guy's got the greatest ever, and then he faults.
Right.
They're swinging the ball too, and what I mean by that, for those of you league players at home or club players, we're bringing the ball from one side to the other. They swing the ball occasionally a little bit more than maybe we as teaching pros, or you as a teaching pro, Spencer, would actually recommend.
Right. There you go. So that's something we would rather see, where they, stuck the ball on trap for, 5 or 6 shots.
Sure.
Pulled Watros out a little bit, and now we're able to swing the ball over and grab a nick, as opposed to going back and forth each time, because it pulls them out of position.
Sure.
It's a good reset.
But I think Charlie played linebacker for the Nittany Lions at one point. Jesus, he's a big dude. Anyway.
Did he?
Nice lob. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I was like, wait a minute.
He does look like, look, I mean, I've been on the football field, and I've been beat up on the football field enough to know what a bigger dude looks like, especially what a linebacker looks like. So, yeah, I got up close and personal, unfortunately. Uh-oh.
These guys are good lobbers.
Definitely. And there's a break, which, by the way, is nothing, I don't want to say nothing new, not necessarily for Charlie, but this happens the first game of I noticed that in a couple of matches we've already broadcast in the season. The first game, there was a break, and then they all relax, and all of a sudden there's a break back, and then it gets a little more even. So hopefully, if you're the Lakeshore Country Club fan, and again, I'm trying to be objective because, I shouldn't be rooting one way or the other, but let's just see what happens.
It's definitely coming off of tennis, where you choose to serve first. Here, it being the opposite unless it's raining. You see a lot of breaks of serve early. I don't know what the exact stat is on it, but I would say almost half of the time people get broken in that first game.
Yeah. I mean, and again, there's a certain amount of nerves. It's funny. In tennis, and like I said, I mean, that's probably where I played most of my sports. In tennis, it's amazing where you almost have an advantage serving. And in paddle, sometimes it's a disadvantage. Sometimes it's almost as if you're just trying to make sure you get through it, and you play more of the team concept, and just play so you're not necessarily highlighting the serve, but just putting the ball in play and making sure you don't make mistakes.
Absolutely, especially because in paddle, only having one serve, if you don't have a great serve, you're essentially like feeding in a short ball and running forward and running then towards traffic, which you don't always want to do.
No.
So if you've got a good return, makes a big difference.
No question. I've played in traffic enough, and I'd rather not. That's a great shot. That doesn't happen real often, though. Yeah, passing shots, especially down the line. But it's a nice shot from Charlie.
I'm so impressed that this guy, I think I had heard that he came up from, I don't know, a series in the 20s, I want to say.
Wow.
Trap from last year. I mean, I think it's from or maybe that's on court too, but I was told that the 2 younger guys on the team had been coming up, and I think they are the youngest on the team.
Series 12, wow.
I mean, crazy racket skills, but, picking up the game really fast, even if you have racket skills, but you're fairly new. His temperament and ball placement is really impressive for somebody who's only in their second year of paddle.
Yeah, there goes my most improved award. I'm literally nowhere near that kind of improvement. Not only that, you're right. I mean, he's got a pretty nice reset overhead for somebody who's just been playing for a little while.
Right. He does. I mean, it's really well placed, and you see what Doug and Charlie do with it.
Sit. Oh, there you go. See, I'm rooting. I can't do that.
I can. They're my players officially.
I appreciate. Okay, so there you go.
So you can be neutral, but I'll root for Charlie and Doug.
I'm trying to. Besides, I think they're kind of behind at this point.
So Doug Friedman serving here. He's got a really interesting serve. I think Doug's got a fantastic serve that stays so low. It's not quite underhand.
No, but it kind of reacts that way off the court.
And especially when it's cold, thing really, really dies.
Oh, yeah.
And he has unbelievable hands.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always been amazed about. It doesn't seem like you can hit the ball. Well, of course, he just had one pass him, but you can hit the ball hard enough where Doug can't handle it. Mm-hmm. Especially when he knows where it's going.
Right.
It's kind of crazy.
Got great drop shots.
Do you find yourself, in terms of that, do you find yourself changing serve pace a lot, or do you, if you just stick with one thing that's working, or?
The pace of serve or the pace
yeah,
of
exactly.
return?
Your serve.
Oh,
in other
my
words,
serve.
yeah,
Yes.
if you were serving, you find yourself, well, this seems to be working, so I've struck, a vein here seems to be working, so I'm just going to work with that, or do you just continue to change pace throughout a match?
I'm a big believer in if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Like that.
But if it's not, I will switch it up. And even before maybe changing pace, we start to get into more like formation or location change.
Sure.
But this past weekend, I served absolutely horrendously. And, I mean, it was the worst I've served probably in quite some time. And we originally went to a two-back formation because I don't know what was going on, but just kind of pushing it in.
Right.
And then as the match continued, we went back to trying to get into the point, and so we realized that the people we were playing really liked when the ball sat up, and my serve does sit up.
Oh.
So with that, I changed it to more of like a push, like an in-between a push stay back serve and like a regular, more of a teaching kind of serve.
So you made it, I got it.
Truthfully, and it worked out a lot better. So
really,
it just depends on the team, and some people like the ball high, some people like it lower. It just depends on that person.
Do you think it sat up because of the weather being warmer? Or would it sit up whether it was cold? Or, I mean, if it was 29 degrees?
It sat up a little bit more because it was warm.
Okay.
Yes,
all right.
Definitely for sure. And the woman I was playing, both of them were quite tall. So that did not go well.
I hate tall people. Sorry, Cal.
I'm with you.
No,
Sorry, Cal,
I'm actually
also.
on the taller side, so I really shouldn't say that. But
yeah,
I'm just not.
As you said that, I was like, aren't you
Yeah,
like
I am
6'3"
kind
or
of.
6'4"?
Yeah, I know. Whatever.
My little 5'6" is a little different, but I shouldn't say that. 5'6" on a good day.
Also wanted to make mention, especially Lakeshore's team, because I've seen them play so much more, but this Michigan Shores team seems to be of the same mindset. And they're obviously the anticipatory movement is what any league player that might not be playing the series that you're watching right now, which is Series 4. Once again, we are at Lovely. I'm going to get Lovely in there.
Oh, that's always a bummer.
Hate it when that happens, but
great shot,
it's
Charlie,
Lakeshore,
but that's
so I
always
guess
a
it's a
bummer.
good thing, right? But lovely Lakeshore Country Club here in Majestic, again, Glencoe, Illinois. And we're watching a Series 4 match between Michigan Shores Country Club and Lakeshore.
I just got a text from Mike Brule telling me that it is John Watros.
John
so
Watros.
Shout out
Thank
Mike
you,
Brule.
Mike. I might, you know what, that might be a phone call. Do I have Brule's number?
I do, if needed.
Do it really? You know what, and he's the kind of guy, he's got a good enough attitude where if we called him, he'd probably be okay getting on the air. Maybe
he must be watching it, so if he doesn't want to, he'll probably text me and
That's
say
okay.
no.
Get off, yeah. You tell Sean to forget it. Forget it. But anyway, it just looks to me like that's part of what I was going to say is it seems to me it just been playing paddle for as maybe long or as little as I have, even playing Series 4. Your head's got to be in the match continuously. That's the one thing I find fun about it. Mm-hmm. Is that you literally almost can't take a point off. I mean, you can, I suppose, if you have a lead or something, but for the most part, you've got to hit. If you play percentage the whole way and hit the right shot and make the right shot selection, you're going to win so much more. It's
Right.
unbelievable. Like, that's the one thing that struck me when I first started playing, which is how much more you do win making the right decisions.
Right. I think the difference between tennis and paddle is especially for those of us that have played for a really long time, is you can kind of go on autopilot in tennis and
Absolutely.
be totally fine and hit
Yep.
your spots and do your thing, and it's okay.
Yep.
There's no autopilot here. Especially anything that is slightly evenly matched. There's no autopilot. There's no off button.
Right. Oh, he tried a roller of that ball.
I actually like the look at that, though.
Yeah, it wasn't
He came
bad.
up a little bit,
Yep.
but it was the right look. He should keep.
So just stay on the deck.
Yeah, he should keep swinging at it. I shouldn't, he's Michigan Shores. I probably shouldn't say that, but it
No,
did
no,
look
no.
good.
Feel free. Remember, like I said, you can say whatever you want.
But he should keep swinging at that. He had a good look. It's interesting watching so far. I can't decide what the pattern is from either team yet. Like what their goal is so far. From the net or the baseline, it looks like we're just kind of grinding, which is
Yeah.
great. But I would love to see if I can, as we're going, if we can really figure out what each team's plan is.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's funny. We will always say, well, that might have been a mistake or that. But I mean, if there is a strategy involved, I mean, I wouldn't say that last roller from Doug. I mean, I'm just going to say it. Usually, probably wouldn't be down the middle like that.
Right.
Probably should be to a corner. But he probably already knows that, so I don't necessarily. Wouldn't
Yeah. If you're gonna go really hard and try to bring people to the door, I don't mind it. But if you're just hitting it just to hit it, it's a little bit different.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think as they settle in, both teams are going to figure out where their lab should go, who they should be driving at. That's a better one, although this guy doesn't seem to mind them. Like, we might be for instance, that one. Like, we might be hitting the ball hard at the wrong guy. But
Right.
we'll
Right.
find out as we go.
True. And again, in terms of anticipatory movement, Doug was definitely ready for a volley after he hit that roller, figuring
Right.
he was going to see a screen drive, so that kind of worked out.
Right. Doug is like the king of bait.
Yeah,
So
I know.
he-
Yes, noticed that too.
He loves to volley, so he will intentionally, like that.
Yep.
He will intentionally hit a ball that, most people would be like, that's a bad shot, because he wants you to drive, because
Yes.
he wants to get that easy volley. To him, an easy volley.
No, it makes
to me,
sense.
not so much, but to Doug, he's got no issue with that volley.
No, I've noticed that. Matter of fact, that's another thing. I mean, that does happen in tennis, where you will bait somebody. I mean, if you just figure, okay, I'm just
Totally.
gonna, yeah. But it doesn't happen as much as it does to me in paddle.
Right.
No way. I mean,
Right.
because you're literally. I've seen so many, moves to anticipate another, and it actually works so well. A lot of it. I'm trying to see. Last week, I'm just going to drop his name, with Sasha Djordjevic, and what he
yeah.
would like to do, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, what he likes to do is hit a hard. Look at this point.
Yeah, that was a little long.
Was it?
I thought so.
Yeah.
Based on that it kept traveling.
I'm not sure if they didn't call that. I don't know.
I know Doug called it. I just didn't know if
Yeah.
he hit him.
Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Great point, though. That was phenomenal. But anyway, Sasha, I've noticed he would hit a really hard overhead into the corner. And what would happen is he would anticipate the thing coming off high, and he would actually move in and try to take it on the rise and drive it, which was, I mean, if I can even describe it this way. Look at this point.
Sean, hang on one second.
Sure.
I gotta turn this beer tap on. Sorry, we're in the middle.
You know what? That is a priority. Matter of fact, if you know anything about paddle, the beer tap is probably more of a priority than anything else you could think of, other than maybe the food. I'm partial to the food. Cal, are you with me on this one? I'm partial to like the barbecue and the.
Yeah, I mean, last time you had both a fajita and a burger, so your priorities were very
I was
clear last time.
sampling, Cal. I was sampling. I don't
Yeah,
think
well,
there's any, and I don't mean that in an audio way. I mean I was sampling the cuisine. When you go to it, I'm actually employed here at Lakeshore. I'm familiar with the cuisine. I love all of it. I think it's obvious if you look at me that I love all of it. But I was sampling the cuisine at Skokie, and might I say that burger had something on the order of narcotics in it, because I swear to you, not only did I have an out-of-body experience, but it was the tastiest burger, no offense to anything else I've been eating, but that I've ever had.
Well,
Let's get back to the
I
paddle
think
here.
Matt has worked at both, so we'll have to get him in here and ask him.
I'll argue that. I don't mind. I'm Sean Albrecht, and I don't mind. I'm doing it. You know why, Cal?
Why is that?
Because I care.
Because you care.
That's right. Anyway, so we're still waiting on. It takes a little while. It takes. What did you say? A village to
It takes a
open the
village.
tap up. All right. All right. Let's. I'm not sure it's not still 15-11. It's my fault because I was distracting you. You were the one keeping track of the
Yeah,
score.
that's on me.
That's all right. No problem.
Who is serving now? That's going to be.
That would be
Mr.
Mr. Trapp
Oh,
is
okay.
is serving. Yes.
Wait. Wait, what?
Yep.
Oh boy.
Trap. That's okay. Don't worry about it.
There we go.
He's a taller player, by the way. And I also love the idea, and for those of you league players playing at home, if you've noticed, he hits his serve relatively slowly, but he does that to give himself time to get to the net. He also has a lot of confidence in his first volley, and that's probably, oh, there we go.
So let me ask you something. As just a tennis player,
Sure.
where the serve is, as you mentioned, so powerful. Why is that it's not quite as powerful in paddle?
Well, it's not as though you couldn't hit it harder, Cal. That's a great question. Not that you couldn't hit it harder. It's just you only get one. So if you take a chance on it. By the way, Exhibit A, Trap hit a great serve, and it hit a little harder than he normally does. Got in there, and the ball came back too fast. So sometimes you're really serving, as we say, to volley, not serving and volleying. You're serving to volley. So that's what it comes down to. So if you hit your serve, it actually works the same way, Cal, in tennis. If you think about it, if you're a serve and volleyer, unless back in my day when that's all we did, pretty much, is serve and volley. You would hit your serve a little softer. Well, I shouldn't say softer. You would just hit it with a lot more spin, which gave it more time to get to your opponent, which gave you more time to get to the net. You get closer. Because look at how close to the net that Doug Friedman gets after his serve. Yes, it's a very slow, low roller kind of serve, or cutter, I should say. But he gives him time to get in, and he gets a first volley, about 2 steps from the net. And that's really a huge advantage in paddle, let's just put it that way. Does that answer your question in a long-winded way? Man, Sean, just shut up. We get it. All right. That's uncharacteristic. Doug doesn't usually miss first volleys like that.
So we have the score now is going to be Friedman, and they're up 4-2, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's okay.
And by the way, think about that. When we started, it looked like they didn't get an auspicious start out of it. In other words, they were having some issues. All of a sudden now they're apparently ahead. Yeah. There are some teams that maybe start a little slower.
Yes.
We got Spencer back. Awesome.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Handling a beer issue, which truthfully is not fixed yet, but we're working on it.
That is a problem. Not only
especially
that,
in
our
paddle.
ratings drop when you're not there.
Oh,
And
bummer.
yeah,
Sorry
it's
about
true.
that,
No,
guys. Didn't
it's
mean to
okay.
leave you hanging.
It's all right. I got to explain it to the sponsors. I don't know how they do that.
But it looks like, Doug and Charlie pulling ahead here.
I know.
Yeah, sometimes it just takes a little bit to settle into your groove, especially when you're playing someone you've never played before.
Sure.
As we said, the Trap is new to the series, and although he doesn't look new,
No.
is still a new familiar face to unfamiliar face to them. So figuring out his strengths and weaknesses is definitely going to be part of their strategy moving forward.
I mean, not to be, and I'll bring it up because you know what? Like I said, you can always fire Sean Albrecht, but it's amazing that you're right that he's able to get to play as well as he does here at Series 4 after being, from what I understand, like 25 or 26 before.
Right.
Crazy. And for those that are watching at home, the tens of people that are watching at home right now, that may seem unbelievable. And hey, let's face it, if you're a paddle or rackets pro, it does seem unbelievable. But if you have enough motivation and you have some skills, I mean, look at that. I mean, that was not, he didn't hit that anywhere near as hard as he probably could have, but that was just a nice controlled drive. Knowing he probably was going down the line, did they just break back? I think they did.
It looks like it. So 4-3
All right,
here?
so 4-3. And it looks like Mr. Watros is going to, I keep calling him Mr. Watros. It's like he's my neighbor and I've known him for years. It's like I can't call him by his first
John
name.
Watros.
Is that what it is? Yeah, there you go. And yes, I turned up the shotgun mic so we get a little bit more ambient noise off the screen and maybe some curse words or two. We'll try to bleep those out.
Well, that's just keeping it interesting.
You know what? In a way, you're right. That's a pretty good cutter for
Yeah.
a kid. Doesn't play much. This is
There's the
vintage
Doug
Doug
move.
Friedman, yeah. Wow.
Just cleaning some dirt off his leg there.
There's somebody who also repeatedly does that, but to their calf, it's a little bit.
Do you really?
I do. I have a terrible habit of it. It's not something I'm proud of. I'm quite bruised. But for whatever reason, that seems like a good idea at the time. So I totally understand
Sure.
Doug's leg smack. Maybe I should try the thigh. I feel like you can't get as much pop
You're
on it
you're
when
not.
you do
No.
it.
God, I mean, the just the paddle alone, the surface of the paddle alone is going to do some damage. That's amazing.
But yeah, I don't know what. That's a great
Great
spot.
screen drive.
And really
great
well
location?
picked. Yes, very well picked spot by Charlie there with the drive right at that right hip of trap.
Sure. Speed. It was kind of a smart volley. Could have probably done more with it, but why?
Right.
Sit. I'm not rooting for anybody. I just like to see a good lob.
As paddle pros, we never want to see a lob miss long.
No.
It gives us nightmares.
No, exactly. So I don't mind going well into the world of paddle, Spencer. That's an inside joke. But anyway, today on one of the series practices for the ladies, Matt did an impression of a local legendary paddle pro, right? Mm-hmm. And he talked about a concept, which, by the way, I loved that concept. And I've heard it before, but I forgot about it. By the way, it's Russ Pollender. And when I say he did a great impression of Russ, it was a very flattering impression of Russ. But the point is, he talked about lobs should really be aimed for the service line. Yes. In other words, when you're aiming for it, you don't want it to get necessarily any deeper than that. If it does get deeper than that, that's a good miss. In other words, you miss it a little long, it's still in. And it's just a great philosophy.
Right, as opposed to
trying to hit the baseline.
Right. I think what Russ says about it is, if you miss a lob long, but you're aiming for the service line, you've missed by 12 feet.
Exactly.
Which is a little bit different than if you're aiming for the baseline and you're really working with slim margins there.
It's true. And Matt started out, it's funny, he started out the impression. He ended up pretty much perfectly, because I've talked to Russ before.
It's quite impressive.
Yeah, it was good. But it started out like Cloris Leachman from that Mel Brooks movie, High Anxiety. Mm-hmm. But after that, it was he was right on. So look at this point, by the way. What are we at, 23 shots already here? This is awesome.
I would love to see, I don't see it as much here, but now I've got Russ Pollender on the brain.
Sure.
I would love to see occasionally Charlie and Doug switch sides, just to give them a different look at their overhead. I feel like when teams get grooved like this, every now and then, if you want somebody to make a mistake or do something that they probably shouldn't, and put themselves in a bad spot, switch sides. They're not hurting you.
It's a great tip.
They're both great on both sides. It would be one thing if one was uncomfortable on one side than the other, but they're really not. And so, these guys are getting really grooved up there, and they're not really getting any looks.
Right.
But I think it wouldn't be. I take everything I said back.
Commentator jinx.
Everything I said, I take back.
Always works.
But I think it would be good for them. Talking to some local pros, and it's you see it a lot in the East Coast,
sure,
but not as much here, and it's something that I think we all can really start to incorporate into our games a little bit more.
Sure. Matter of fact, I think I would say, not only does that help you with the look maybe from the other side, but you may get a chance to drive. Like Charlie's forehand drive is pretty good.
Right.
In other words, and he'll see a few more of those on the ad side.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, strategically, it's actually a really creative idea.
Right.
Yeah, you're right, Coach. You don't see a lot of that.
Mm-mm.
He is an emotional dude. I love that about Dougie.
Love to see it, though. I'm always happy with the positive emotion.
No question. They were grinding on that one, too.
Yeah. I had a coach in juniors that told me, if you're going to give me negative emotion, you have to give me your positive emotion with the same level of intensity. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, if you're going to yell at yourself that you're upset about something, you better yell at yourself like in a happy way. And I think that that's so important, because then you don't have the roller coaster ride sometimes that goes with that.
You know something? Wise coach. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know if I would take it that far.
All right, fine.
No, he's a great guy.
Okay, that was a wise thing to say. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. No, it was great, and I really use it now. I think in tennis, too, you can be it's a little stiffer
Yeah.
of a sport.
Yeah.
More of a gentleman's game, I guess they say. And sometimes you can't really let that emotion out. It's a little bit frowned upon. And not, you don't want to get too crazy out
No.
here. But it is a little bit more lax in that paddle does let you just, let some emotion out. And I think it's totally fine to be, negative or positive as long as you're, not crazy negative.
There is the beer factor, Coach.
Oh,
let's face
so
it.
I can't play with the beer. So I go from pro to beginner real fast.
I kind of meant after the
gotcha.
après paddle.
That's I thought you meant people's mouths fly when they're drinking. I'm like, I can't see.
There are plenty of guys playing. Where they got one on the side of the court.
I wish I can't do it.
Yeah, I can't understand. I can't hold my liquor anyway. Oh
Yeah,
man.
wine.
Yeah, just close right there. But hey, you know what? You're absolutely right. Only thing I could say, adding to that would be because it's a doubles game, because there's some energy from your partner, that you may feel like you can get away with a little bit more emotion. Let's face it, in tennis, I see a lot more emotion, especially maybe for the high school level, for instance.
Right.
And the state tournament's coming up, by the way, for tennis, for the girls. You'll see a lot of that, especially because they feel a lot of pressure out there for the state title, but because it's doubles, I think there is an energy and electricity there that is contagious, and I could see people getting a little bit more pumped up.
I mean, I felt that way in college tennis and high school tennis as opposed to junior tennis.
Look at that.
Wow, good hustle by Watros there. But I definitely felt that more in team tennis than I did in singles juniors, because you're out there by yourself. You're not really fighting all together. But when you're out here and you have a partner.
Yep.
And you're fighting for your team.
Yep.
Just the energy was a lot more fun and positive than kind of just call it the Andy Murray syndrome of the whining. As much as I love Andy Murray, but he does get a little whiny on occasion.
Yeah. I guess in a good way. He barks at his box. I've not seen. Well, no, I've seen some people do that too, but he does it more than just about anybody I've ever seen. Yeah,
I haven't watched it recently. If it's as bad as it was before he got injured.
I don't. You know what? And that's probably frustrating for him anyway. Just to talk tennis for a little bit. It's any injury, whether you're playing a paddle, whether you're playing tennis or whatever. Especially a guy like that who's been. Look at the touch here. Oh.
He wanted that one.
Yeah. But yeah, any injury, especially if you're a professional athlete, I can't imagine it isn't frustrating. Let's face it. That guy in particular, just not to typecast Andy Murray, but he definitely uses his legs.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
if his movement isn't there, that's a big disadvantage.
Absolutely. Watching him come back at first was quite painful because I would say he was almost a full 2 steps slower.
Yeah. He's kind of moving like an old man.
Right. And you see that with paddle more now as well than you probably ever did, because I think the game has gotten so much more physical and more spin and all this stuff where you really notice people are a lot quite in shape, even though it's the beer sport.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was going to just let's talk about that just 1 second, because first of all these guys look like they're in real good shape. But we were watching the I-55 tournament, and we were mentioning Adam Morgan, who deserves credit. Let's face it, good seamer. Get over. Oh man. You think you get a home court advantage, right?
I know, right?
Let me talk about that again. I talk about that every week, and every week people go, just go to bed, go to sleep. But anyway, what I was going to say is Adam looks like he could go all day. Adam is in great shape. And I think you're right. I think because it does grind after a while. Let's face it, there's no time clock out here.
No.
Just like regular tennis, you could hit 100 shots in a row, and you got to be ready to do that.
Right. And Adam's wife, Allison, might even be in better shape. I don't know if that's possible, but
she might be.
It's such a big, especially at a high level, it's such a big part of the game now.
Yep.
I really noticed it at Nationals last year. We played a team that one of the women on the team had really gotten in shape in the last year, and she dug out some balls that I just thought had no business possibly coming back. And then not only came back, but came back with a purpose.
Sure.
And so for me, I spent most of the summer really getting in shape and getting ready to play, because it's just easier when you're not tired and you think more clearly out here, and that's just as much of it or as important as the physical aspect as well.
No question.
But you have to be able to grind, and all of these guys are in great shape. But
you think there's maybe also a factor where you're playing a bunch of matches in a row? In
That
other words,
too,
you keep
yeah.
playing. I mean, you keep winning, you keep playing. So here, it's you're going to play one match and then you can relax.
Right.
For the most part, if it's league play, I actually believe that's why league play is so popular. I'm not even talking about just paddle. I think tennis league play has popularized in the last 20 years because of that. People just, although I almost enjoyed the grind of a tennis tournament.
Right.
Nobody wants to cash the whole weekend to do it.
Right.
I think I shouldn't say nobody. Very few people. Kids will do it. But I mean, as you get older, you have other things to do, other priorities, really. And so league play is really kind of popularized. That was a great serve, even though we always say try not to serve wide, but if you're going to do it, that was a really nice change of pace.
Every now and then, I mean, it doesn't. If someone's return is so much worse going out there, I think it's a little bit of a different story. But also, as a change of pace, if someone's killing you there and you guys
Sure.
aren't moving the way that you want to, it's a really smart shot.
It was. And
It's a heck of a
Dougie
dig.
digs it out. Yeah. No. Come on, Doug.
Oh, don't do it!
Yeah.
Don't do it!
No, you got to let. And this is, you know what? We all get competitive, and it's not just Doug. We've all been there. You know what I mean? We'll just do that, and everybody's got to trust the call. And it did look close, but I mean, to be
Or just
fair,
do it
it
again.
looked like there's that too. But it did look, it could have been long.
Yeah.
But it was, like I said, it looked close. And I understand because we're just all trying to be. We always want to be as competitive as possible.
Yeah, I think
That's
they're
it.
just
They
gonna play
worked it out.
again.
They worked it out.
Yeah.
So I think we did have the score wrong. It was not 4-2. So it is now 5-5.
5-all.
Yeah.
Which it looks that way. Thank you, Cal, for keeping it straight. I was thinking maybe Doug was getting ticked off because Sean's blowing it on the score. There we go.
He makes fun of me when we are in team drills because I don't actually keep score. I just make it up as I go.
You know what? I thought I was the only one who did that.
No,
I do that.
it's like a tennis pro thing, and
Yes.
he'll be like, I'll just like say the score. He's like, you're not even close. I'm like, I don't know, Doug. You keep score. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I just guess based on the amount of points that are played, but I'm between the teaching and the scoring, you can't do both. so.
Yeah. I mean, it's also practice. I don't know. I try not to let too many students get too hung up on the score when
Right.
we're in practice.
So it's interesting that you say that. My boyfriend and I, Mitch Granger, who also plays paddle,
Sure.
we have a slightly different philosophy on how to practice, and I'm curious, coming from another pro, and that he truly believes that practicing winning is really important, and I totally agree with that. I absolutely agree.
Oh, you do agree with that?
However,
Yeah.
I would say, but there's a caveat to that.
Okay.
So I believe that practicing winning is important. I just don't think it's important to do all the time. I think you have to practice to practice
Point.
as well.
It worked out. Yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead if you want
Oh
to keep
no,
it.
but I
expound on
think
that.
practicing, when I go out to practice, I could care less if I win or lose. I'm working on something
Yeah,
unless
yeah.
I'm going out to practice winning. I will specifically do that.
I see.
Where to him,
Boy,
the
I had a shot.
practicing winning
Yes.
is a thing.
It's a
But I'm
great-
curious if that's a male-female difference, because I feel like a lot of our guys are the same way. They don't want to lose ever.
Okay, see, there's a lot of pressure here, Spencer, because if I
You better
answer
agree
it
with
and,
me,
I,
Sean.
and I agree with you, first of all, I mean, Mitch is going to be like, Sean, on the telecast, even though, as I said, tens of people are watching, it's not really going to care. Okay, I'll be honest, and I'm not in touch with my feminine side as much as you might think if I'm going to say this, but I kind of agree with your philosophy, and I only say that because I think I don't want to be too diplomatic about it, but I think there's a time and a place to do both. I think you're right. I think you practice things to practice and just get successful at certain shots and certain ideologies, certain percentages, shot selection, that type of thing. And then when you want to keep score, you can go situational. Okay, you're down a break.
Right.
You're serving at 15-40 every game. In other words, you're down. Actually, just serve from 15-40 down every game. You've got to do that and dig yourself out. And I mean that. So in a way, that's working on winning, whatever it takes.
Right.
Whatever it's going to take, depending on who you're playing. So I mean, I'm going to say that there's a time and a place for each one. But if what you're telling me is, and boy, I'm going to get in trouble for this. I can feel it. Mitch is going to be like, Sean, I hate you now.
Well, it's funny because I don't necessarily disagree with him. I just
No,
have a
you
slightly
did. You
different
just said
philosophy.
you did agree with. So I guess. But what I was going to say is, I just don't think that there's one absolute that way. You can't
Right.
you can't just practice winning. I mean, I loved playing matches And I wasn't a big practiceaholic. You know what I'm saying? I would not rather just get out there and beat balls or whatever and work. I wanted to go out and play sets. That was look at the speed on this. There you go. He's there. He's there.
Charlie.
Yeah. Awesome point.
Ooh.
Good teamwork. That's a smart shot.
His point is so good. We got sidetracked.
Yeah. It's awesome. And again, talking about this, a pro that I used to work with, he would call this the patience tolerance threshold. It was a PTT. It's how many balls can you hit before? Wow,
Shot clock goes off.
talk about Q. Yeah, where Doug's like, I've had it. I'm going to drive this ball, take a chance on it. And actually, in fairness to Doug Friedman, he's got a very nice drive.
He does. He's got a great screen drive.
Yeah, and he can put a lot of top on the ball. So generally, that ball stays in. But now, look what happened. Missed that one and then missed the volley. And we've all been there. It's not just Doug. And just lost the serve. So anyway, so we're at 6-5. This is a great match.
Mm-hmm.
Very competitive. It looks like, I'm just going to say from a distance here, I would love to have like the ability to go remote to court 1 where Coach
Right.
Matt is playing, because he looks like he's vintage Coach Matt, just everything he can do.
Grinding it out over there.
Absolutely. Yeah, he hasn't played, in
Almost
a while.
none.
I know, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. There's there's the two-hander. Wow.
He pulled out the two-hand. I can't see past this post, but there you go. Did he make it?
He did. It was
Nice.
awesome. He's got a nice two-hander for a guy who hits as good a one-hander as he does. I don't understand how you do that. My two-handed backhand. I mean, lefty's better. Well, obviously lefty better than righty. It's gonna be bad.
He I would love to see him be able to get back out here this season. I'm missing my practice partner
Yeah.
for sure. We
Yeah.
drill a lot together. I owe most of my game to Matt, so I would love to see him get back out here pretty soon. And this is definitely a step in the right direction. So super happy for him. He gets to play tonight.
Yeah. No, it is cool, and you know what? Actually, I think it's good for the membership. I always said
Yes.
that, just to get to watch, him get out there, watch both of you. As a matter of fact, I find it, particularly gratifying, and again, vicariously, because I'm not the one playing. I mean, you were the one. You came back from a bunch of tournaments, I remember, and some of the ladies.
that's
matter
a
of fact,
good
even
peg.
some of the guys. Yeah, if you're gonna do it,
He got him in the leg. It's all good.
exactly. It's all fine. He was turned around. But anyway, I think a lot of the ladies and some of the guys were very, very entertained by watching you play on some of the streams. Seriously, and I think it really enhances when you end up making a point out there in a practice. I mean, it actually punctuates that point, because you can just tell, hey, listen, I've done this many times in my matches. Maybe you've seen this, and I don't know. There's something that actually is a little more like of a solidifier
Right.
to any point you're going to make out there. Not that it has to be that way, but I always believe that, no matter what. Matter of fact, it's funny, I haven't played a tournament in a while. Of course, paddle would be interesting. I'm not sure. I just have to get out there. I'm not sure if I can get anybody. Maybe Cal will play with me. No, I don't think so.
Absolutely, I would.
You guys
You
come
would?
play the charities.
That's right. You know what? It's not
He's
a bad
got
idea.
paddle in his blood. His uncle's John Noble.
You know what? You're right. You're right.
That's the only reason I'm here is nepotism.
You know what? It takes a big man to admit that.
He's very tall.
He is. I'm only here because I think it was a mistake. I think it
Yeah, that's.
it was the wrong guy.
Matt took him in off the street like a stray.
Quite late.
Yeah. So Doug missed a forehand. Again, uncharacteristic. Usually Doug's pretty solid off that forehand side. So
I believe that brings us to 30 all.
It
if I'm not
does.
mistaken.
that would have been a nice pickup, but I think that looked like
That's set.
that looked like
No,
the set.
it's
Right? I think
45.
That is it.
That ball's
looks like-
getting launched. Oh, no, pocket.
Yep. Thank you. Good.
I'm happy.
Not that we have to. Look, there is a behavior code, but
Well, but there's a ball shortage. We could use
that,
this.
you're right. And you know who's going to go out there and retrieve them.
Sean
Even
is
at
the
11
best ball
and
picker
11
upper
p.m.
in
at
the
night.
world.
I'll be out there. Yeah.
He picks up more
I
balls than
admit it.
anybody. He will run in a tree
I'm
to do
frugal.
it.
I don't
It's
know
amazing.
what that is. I think I was in a previous. I think it was a golden retriever or something. I can't leave him out there.
All right, well, that is it for the first set, so we will be back from break in a
That's
few
right.
minutes.
We're gonna
Oh, great.
pay some bills, and we'll see you on the other side.
From the heart of Chicago up to the North Shore and stretching from the northwest suburbs down to Kankakee. From urgent in-office care to virtual in-home visits, we're making orthopedic care available wherever and however you need it. Because while we're adapting our lives to keep each other safe, we know that new injuries will happen and old injuries will still linger. And IBJI is here to help.
Illinois Bone and Joint Institute is the best choice for orthopedic care. Our walk-in ortho access clinics provide treatment by orthopedic specialists without a trip to the ER. With evening and weekend hours, we provide your family with excellent care when it matters most. Visit ibji.com to find an ortho access immediate care clinic near you.
All right, looks like we're back. And talk about ambient noise. I love being in the paddle hut, especially when people are looking for new paddle balls. And
Brilliant. Now let me ask you, Sean, if you're the team that just lost a set 5-7, how does that impact you knowing that if you're going to win this match, you have to play another 45
you know
to
something,
another
it's
hour?
funny you say that, because I was going to, you know what, when Spencer gets back, we're going to ask her this. That's a great question. Honestly, it is a mental grind. I find it more of a mental grind on the paddle court than on the tennis court. Depending on who you are, and unfortunately in paddle, you can't play devil may care paddle. It's difficult to do. In other words, just swing at every return, try to hit winners. It doesn't happen, especially at this level and above. In tennis, you might be able to get away with it. So some of us have played, let's just take a tennis match, for instance, in a singles match. Me personally, so I've played matches where I've won the first set, lost the second set 6-0, and then won the third. So in other words, it's possible to do that. I think it's more possible to do that in tennis than in paddle. If you've lost the first set, especially a tight one like this, Cal, so 7-5, it'd be difficult to come back and feel like, wow, you know, we did all that work, we didn't get it. But I'm telling you, I don't know. I think you get a mentality after a while with paddle that you realize it is a grind no matter whether you're winning 7-5 or 6-0. Right. So I think Charlie and Doug are probably going to be able. They can reset. They've played a lot of matches, and they feel like, look, we were in that set. At one point, we had them ahead. So I mean, I think they definitely come back and win this thing, no question. And they have it in them. They've done it before. But it's a grind mentality, Cal. It's a great question. You just have to have that, and I think the more paddle you play, the more you develop that mentality.
Right. Do you think the just tennis being a bit more physically demanding as well, kind of that physical aspect?
Absolutely. The other thing is, this is, to me, even more of a team movement as one unit game than even tennis is. Because I've seen matches in tennis, for instance, at another club where I used to be the director. Actually, I know they were dumb enough to leave me the keys. I know, but anyway, we used to host the National Father-Daughter Indoor, and there was a team. And the woman, her name was Julia Cohn, I believe. Okay, and she had her father, who was, let's just put it this way, he was in the senior division, didn't move quite as well. She was a gazelle. So what would happen is he would stand over in the alley on one side of the court while she covered the entire rest of the court. It wasn't even doubles, pretty much, but they won the tournament that way. She basically played singles against two players with the alleys, and he would cover one alley. And so that you can get away with in tennis. I don't think that's possible in paddle.
Right.
I just don't think so. So you're going to have, my point is, not only does one person maybe have to have that grind mentality to get back in a match like this, because obviously you're going to have to, as you said, go 2 sets, not just one. You're going to kind of have to get the grind mentality. But I think, like I said, you probably have to have it more in paddle than probably even tennis anyway. We were just talking, Spencer, Cal, a great question, by the way. Now that you lost the first set, and in paddle, especially if it's 7-5, which was kind of tight, right? All that, you figure all that work, if you lose 6-0, it's almost like, well, we really can't get any worse than that.
Right.
So maybe it was kind of quick. That wasn't as quick. Can you come back, or what's the mentality like? Because now you got to win 2 sets in a row,
Right.
as opposed to just eking one more out.
So for Sandy, my partner, and I, or really league partners as well, when we lose a set, my first thing that I think about is we have a problem and we need to solve it. So where are we getting hurt? What is the problem? Because most of the time it's not that that's a great serve by Charlie.
It was. Talk about finding the nick.
It's not usually that you're not able to hit the ending shot, as people will call it.
Sure.
Because those really aren't much of a thing in paddle, but it's like, where is this team hurting you, and are you taking the bait and hurting yourself? So if we've got to cut down on some errors, we know that, but we also have to figure out where we're getting hurt. And I think a lot of the time people think of where they're getting hurt in a sense of being at the net, we're hitting our overheads in the wrong spots or whatever, but also thinking of, when you're when you're in the back of the court, figuring out who's hurting you up there.
Yeah.
Is it the volley? Is it the drive? Or is it the volleyer, or is it the person hitting overheads?
Sure.
Or is it the same guy? So, we had a tournament this last weekend, and one of the women was just absolutely killing us on some overheads. And I looked at my partner and I was like, hey, we got to hit some poke drives because she's never backing up. So even though it's not something we maybe should drive, we got to move her in a little bit, and do stuff like that. So identifying where the holes are and also what's really hurting you and trying to now avoid those spots.
Do you find you're pretty much on the same page with your partner when that happens? In other words, you're able to come up with a couple of concepts. If you've unfortunately lost maybe the first set, hey, you know what? Do you see this, or do you just say that? You both say at the same time. We have to, almost in stereo, you say the same thing.
I'll ask. We're usually on the same page.
Good. That's nice.
We may not be on the same page always of how to turn it around, but I think it's more important to almost be on the same page of identifying it.
Sure.
And agreeing that, like, hey, this is the problem. And then not so much agreeing or disagreeing on how to fix it.
Got it.
But maybe coming up with 2 sets of plans.
Sure.
Because as long as you're on the same page of here's the problem.
Yes.
Especially because usually my partner is a pro, so we usually have.
That helps.
Yes, it really does, but it usually helps to be on the same page with that. But then sometimes she'll think of something that I didn't, or I'll think of something that
Gotcha.
she didn't and how to fix it. And then we'll either mix them together or we'll just pick one.
That makes for I want to say, I don't know what an ideal partner looks like or is like, but that does make for an ideal partner.
Yes.
If you have somebody who, 1, plays well with you just chemistry-wise, but 2, mentality is kind of similar.
Yes.
Or at least on the same page. They enjoy, it just kind of, you kind of mesh.
Yes.
Because I've had, well, then again, maybe it's my fault, They'll just say, that was a great waterfall, by the way.
It was a really good waterfall.
Because Doug's usually pretty quick to get back there.
It's interesting watching Doug and Charlie play at the moment after they've lost this first set. If I had to pick apart something that's going there, is they're not driving bad balls. They're just driving to bad spots.
That's a great point.
So they're driving right at people as
Sure.
opposed to driving maybe a little bit more in between them. I would love, that's a little bit better, but
Yeah.
with a little bit more pace just because he didn't really have to move very much. But causing a fight in between the partnership,
Yes.
as opposed to when you hit the ball right at somebody, there's no decision being made of who needs to hit this.
Yep. And not only that, you mentioned, and I think it's not a bad idea to revisit it, you mentioned the idea of maybe switching sides.
Yeah,
Especially
giving it a
when
go.
yeah, why not? That'll give them a different look.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like Doug can't hit a great drive, when we're there. And we're not picking on Doug and Charlie. It's easy to armchair, it'd be armchair quarterbacks about the whole thing. But it's just the idea is, if you're playing, that was a great flex by Dougie, by the way.
Right.
But yeah, it's one of those things where you just never stop. What do they say? Always change a losing game, never change a winning
Right,
game.
I was going to say it's kind of the opposite of what I said earlier. Like, if it's broken, fix it.
Yeah.
So whether that's, you can even, if you prefer to return on that side, that's
Yeah.
totally fine. But then every now and then, just giving him a slightly different look in the backcourt. That was very nice of you. That ball
Very
was
nice.
definitely out.
If there was ever, I was going to say, if there was ever
If there's a question of a call, we definitely
I think
won
we got to
that
give
point,
it to him. Yeah, that
luckily.
was very nice. Yeah, but anyway, I was going to say, so right now, we're deadlocked at 1, and it's, I say 40-15, and they just held. So again, to Cal's point, you know, they obviously have been in these situations before, even losing a first close set, and still keep the concentration going, still keep the attitude up.
Yeah, we actually, those 2 first games were the only 2 clean win games of the whole. Of the
Oh,
whole
really?
match.
Oh, really?
You could just, you know what, Cal is like doubling as a statistician, tripling, I should say.
Quadruple.
Okay,
Wow.
fine. You know, way to be humble, Cal.
He might be rivaling the
Stay
wonderful Graham McNerney with the stats. I
You're
have
right.
never known anybody to keep better statistics than Graham McNerney.
Really?
Shout out to Graham.
Wow. And shout out to, I believe it's Eddie Trapp's mom who's serving
yes, he
steak
did.
tacos tonight.
Yes, he did
I
ask
don't
for
know.
that.
Yeah, I don't know if she's listening, but that was see, there we go. That's
Wow.
the drive of talking about. Wow.
Ooh.
Okay, but that was a better location. To your point, wasn't it? Down the
Yes.
no, I'm not. No, okay.
Right through
I
them
didn't
instead.
mean it. Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
mean that
yeah.
he was headhunting or you know
No.
trying to hit vital areas. I'm just saying that was
Would hit
down
the
the
net
middle.
first.
Yeah, exactly.
See, same thing there, right?
Again.
So right over that center net strap, you could tell that he hesitated to hit that volley because he wasn't sure if Eddie was going to
Maybe
go
he was
for
going to
it.
pick it off. Yeah.
Right? So with that, that's a little bit better. You're causing more confusion there
Yeah.
than just hitting it right at somebody. Now, there is absolutely times to hit it right at somebody, but off the return of serve can be a little bit tough, especially if you're not super comfortable.
Matter of fact, it's funny you mentioned that. There was a ratio I've heard teaching with both you and Matt many times where there's a percentage of drives you will hit that are
Yes.
designed to stay in the court, and then there might be, you know, a minority percentage of those drives
That was very nicely put there, Sean.
that are not designed to stay in the court necessarily, but maybe I'm not going to say you're head hunting, but
Maybe
you're
just to
literally-
make somebody flinch
exactly.
like that, but
Or
it was
buy
wrong.
it, you know, we sell it to them. In other words, they think it's going in, or they just can't get out of the way.
Right.
So, and I think it was 80-20 or 70-30.
Yeah, I would say
Something
about
like that.
that.
70% of the drives you want to keep them in the court, and then maybe
like
you know,
that's
30.
not super.
Yeah, going
Charlie
down
knows.
the line.
Charlie's going to be a little upset with himself about that one.
yeah,
Especially when we've just missed a drive, we got to put the next one in the court.
right. And he's had so much success coming down the middle. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's
Right.
easy.
See, there's that broken, don't fix it problem.
We've all been there, I think.
That's impressive.
So it's tough, especially you were mentioning for tennis players not to feel like they can return down the line on more of a regular basis than you actually think you can get away with
Right.
here in paddle. It's amazing how that works out. I mean, as a matter of fact, as I started playing, it just was so painfully obvious to me how tough it is to go down the line and try to literally
Right.
pass somebody. What are you doing? After a while, it doesn't even enter my mind. I'm
So
just
the
thinking,
pass, I would say, is really hard. That's the one that Sean very nicely put that we maybe weren't aiming for the court. So, yeah, I mean, if you're going to go down the line, you know, this is a Series 4 paddle match. Like, these guys are great.
Yeah.
And paddle drives, unfortunately, are meant to go in between people or right at them.
Sure.
So if you're going to hit that drive down the line, you're going right at somebody. And
Sure.
that's okay because you really don't have a lot of space to work with.
No.
Right,
that-
so if you're going to get a missed drive, it's either because you took someone's reaction time away or you went in between them and they had to fight over the ball. But it's almost never anymore going to be around someone. And not for a winner. These guys are too fast. They're going to
Right.
run around, like, you know, run it down. And
the court isn't big enough.
no.
I mean, it's, what do we say, a third the size of a tennis court?
I don't
Is that
even
about
think
right?
it's that much. I want to say it's
Wow.
almost a fourth.
Wow. Good eye from Friedman, letting that ball go.
It's from that lob drill we did the other day.
There you
could
go,
tell it
yeah.
wasn't
Let's
the
take
rope
credit for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
why
rope
not? Yeah.
trajectory.
Yeah. Okay, that was a little bit bigger serve. Like John's keeping it good-natured, which is good. I think they all are.
Charlie's a pretty chill guy as well.
He is. He seems that way.
As long as you're not hitting him in the face, he's pretty cool.
I don't think
That's
I
a
want
good
to.
one.
That's, you know what?
You took it well.
That's
It
finish.
bounced
Yeah, you
first.
know what? You just got to take it.
Oh,
All
what
right, I
a
think,
return.
wow. And again, you just kind of bow to your sensei there. That's not going
Right.
to happen all the time. Tennis players at home, trust me, it doesn't happen on a regular basis.
It's more of an accident. Than
Although
anything else.
it's amazing how many, how do I say this, tennis players can pull that shot off.
Yes.
In other words, if anyone's going to pull it off, generally it's going to be somebody who plays tennis. just because they usually hit a topspin forehand. Like, look, he did it again. He's just kind of,
Yeah.
like a machine there.
I will say though that after that happens about 2 or 3 times, Charlie's probably going to need to change that serve placement.
Yeah, exactly. That was a
Same with that
great
one.
string. Wow. That was an impressive screen drive because it didn't even look like it came off clean.
Or, if he's going to keep hitting it wide, Doug's hands are so great. Why not move him over?
Yeah,
Give him again. Same thing. Sometimes it's just changing up a look
sure.
as opposed to actually doing anything different.
Yeah, I don't see. I mean, maybe they just don't feel like they need to unnecessarily a lot of signs out there.
Right.
Here's where I need you to serve. This is where I'm going to be. That type of thing. And it isn't a prerequisite. You can play paddle without them. It's not that big a deal. But sometimes it's nice to employ that type of thing, especially if you need to get back in a match or feel like something's working, because you do work much more cohesively when you are using them. I noticed that. Yep, definitely in tennis, but even in paddle. Okay, there's what we call I like to call it a poke drive. What would you call that?
Yeah, like a poke drive or punch drive.
And it's actually a really useful shot. It's just you have to kind of pick and choose. Mm-hmm.
And you have to commit to it. So that
Exactly.
one looked like he maybe wasn't fully committed.
Exactly. Yeah, just a little underspin. Usually catch somebody off the net. Playing much steadier.
Mm-hmm. You've slowed it down a little
Climbing
bit.
back into this thing. Cal's just on top of the scoring. That's awesome.
That's good because I can't keep score in my own match. Thanks, Cal.
It's been a
Let it
process.
leave, and they held. So Lakeshore, not intimidated by losing that first set. Got to give him props for the resiliency to come back like that.
Now, this is something that we obviously see in tennis, are those crazy long deuces where it keeps going back and forth. Is that something
Yes.
where that you do see in paddle?
Oh,
and we're
yes.
just not seeing this match?
Yes.
You see it, I would say, even more in paddle than you do in tennis, except for, so last year with COVID, I don't remember if we did it in the league or not, but a lot of the tournaments were after the second deuce.
You played no ad.
Yeah, you played no ad. Now, I don't know that the women followed it all the time, if I'm totally honest.
No, so they didn't? You think they didn't?
I
Is that what you're
think
saying?
if no one said anything, maybe
They just
didn't,
played it
but
out?
Maybe definitely didn't do it all the time. But the guys, because their points are so long.
Yeah.
But I will say, I really, as we've talked about before, being in the younger generation,
You can say it. It's okay.
did not enjoy that at all, because I think and I say this in tennis as well, I hated it when they did it in college tennis, I think you take the fitness level out.
You do.
And I think that that's a huge part of it. And like Eddie, who just made me feel old, because that hasn't happened quite in a while, said, I just asked him, he's 23.
Wow.
And, as a 23-year-old,
He's
you can sit
poised.
out there all night.
Yeah. He's poised, too, for that's incredible. Wow. Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's funny you mentioned that. I think one of the other reasons why, back to Cal's question, why a lot of there's more deuces in paddle is because the serve is taken out of the equation.
Right.
In tennis, you can actually hit an ace or a service winner because you can take a chance on the first serve because you get 2 serves. And so I find it easier to get out of a deuce situation. Then again, that was probably one of my better shots. But either way, or just go for a return. You can just get away with it. So you can't take as many chances. Paddle is much more of a game of consistency.
Yes.
And so that's one reason why they probably go forever. Like 14, 15 deuces is not uncommon.
No, I mean, it can really go.
That was a great shot. Even though he took
for
a
a
chance on
long
that one.
time.
Yeah. It was a nice pace on Charlie's drive, just because even if it wasn't going to be, he wasn't going to rip a winner, so to speak, it was a nice pace because he was going to go in regardless of whether it hit the net or not. So we're at 30-40 here. This is a break point. Good
It's a
hands.
great volley.
Wow, yeah.
Ooh, a little waterfall action.
Yeah. And weren't you saying the other day, was it you, that's the one shot you probably can leave the deck a little bit if you
the
need
waterfall?
to? Yeah.
Yes, if
Look
you're
at
hitting
this.
the waterfall and you jump a little bit, it
Yes.
doesn't. We have a general
Hurt you.
rule in paddle that if you have to jump, it's probably not your ball. Should leave your feet on the deck almost at all times. I will say though, I do notice that occasionally I'll see a guy, more so I see it in like the high level men than in the women. Like, I don't even know that I would fully call it a jump.
Oh,
It's more like a little like bunny hop.
okay, so it's not a scissor kick overhead
No,
off his
it's
back
like
foot.
a bunny hop, like maybe
Okay.
like calf raise.
Sure.
For the
That's fine.
waterfall, but for the most part, yeah, if you've got to leave your feet, then it's not.
Yeah, that's you know what
We either
I-
need to let it go or it's not yours.
Another shot. I mean, another concept that was tough to get used to. And again, I'm kind of an old school. I started out serving and volleying when I started playing tennis anyway, so used to hitting a jump overhead. Mm-hmm. Any lob that went up, I just figured I'm just not going to hit the ground because I'm going to get back there and scissor kick or
Right.
whatever. That's just not paddle. Matter of fact, you just pretty much let it go if you're a drive stopper.
Right, and the more comfortable you are in the back of the court, the more balls you end up letting go.
Exactly. Well, meanwhile, nice hold by young Eddie Trapp to even it up at 3.
He's got really good hands.
He does.
I wonder, we haven't gotten
Speaking
that
of good
stat on
hands,
him yet, but
Look at that.
it's crazy. If he played high school tennis or maybe some college somewhere.
It would not surprise me at all.
He played high school tennis at Loyal. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can definitely tell he's got some racket skills, but he's really picking it up fast. If it's only his second year, this is really. And with being 23, I'm going to go with yes, it is only his second year of paddle.
He's got a better backside screen than I do.
Oh, that's not true.
Yes, he
Sean.
does. I'm just going to say it. Okay, he missed it. See, there you go. Commentator Jinx again. But I would still maintain that point, though. Okay.
You can tell he's frustrated by that, though, which I mean that in the best way. Like,
Sure.
that's not a shot that he misses. That's great.
I noticed also that he doesn't necessarily drive the ball off the screen when it's kind of high, like right here.
Right.
He lobs it on a regular basis. My guess is, and maybe you could shed some light on this. My guess is, after a while, plays enough paddle, he may develop a screen drive off that ball because he seems to have a
Absolutely.
pretty good two-hander. That's one of your. I always like watching you hit that shot. That's a laser beam. I don't like to get in the way of that thing, by the way. But I'm just saying it's a great shot for a lot of two-handers. That's one thing that as a one-handed backhand, and actually I can hit it. I'm just not used to it. But I've noticed two-handers have such an advantage because they can set the racket so
Yes.
quickly.
I think it's definitely an advantage to have a two-handed backhand, especially with screens.
Oh, no
Maybe not
question.
necessarily in the middle of the court, but from the if
Sure.
you're on the ad and going that way. But I would say for Eddie, especially if it's only, I mean, I cannot believe that he's picking it up this quickly. But I know when I was really in my learning stages
Kidding me.
that you spend a lot of time your
Nice
first
try.
year or 2 years just learning to dig and dig
Yes.
and dig and
Yes.
really understanding the screens, and then after a little bit, as he gets more comfortable, that screen drive is really going to start to play because he's going to feel like he can dig anything out. And when he pulls his paddle back for those screens, he leaves two hands on it, so it's
Wow.
going to be really well disguised.
Yeah, I particularly don't like that either.
Right.
Having
So,
to
like, I'll
figure
never
out
be able
whether
to
you're going to
tell.
drive it. Yeah, I don't like that because I feel like, okay, I'm setting up because it looks like, I mean, I'm probably going to have to sit here and drive. But if I get too close to the net, that ball's going over my head, and
Right.
my partner's going to be like, Sean, come on, man.
But you can tell, I mean, he's absolutely going to have that, but he looks like he's in that stage at the moment where it's just like, I'm going to be able to dig anything you give me out.
Sure. Also, be able to, I think we mentioned this before, but be able to change speeds on the drive, where every so often he'll rip one, and then it's back to a relatively controlled pace. And I think that really is a skill that you don't necessarily see in somebody who came from Series 26
Right.
already.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
just.
Yeah,
I
I
think
know.
Dan McGuire lied to us. I don't. We're gonna have a conversation with him after that. I don't know that I believe him.
Well, I could tell you this much, and I'm just being honest. I don't mind just bearing souls here, but after being a director, now we're talking tennis here mostly, not paddle, but I mean there is a certain political, how do I say this, system that
Yes.
is at a certain club where somebody comes in and they're new, and obviously he's new. He's 23. Okay, so he's just out of playing the juniors basically. So he's 1 year out of college or whatever. He might even still be in college. But the point is, there are people who've been playing in the leagues for years
Right.
that maybe didn't start there, don't have maybe the skills, and he just won the game and broke Friedman and Phillips there with that last forehand return, don't have the skills. And so sometimes you have to be careful moving, so to speak, players up the ladder. Just not to step on too many toes. A lot of people paid their dues to get to where they wanted to go. But, as they say, the cream rises, it's difficult. There was a lady at a club that I was a director before I got to Lakeshore. And just because, and she didn't make a big deal out of it, either. We put her on the lowest team, and she played, I think, either D1 or D2 college tennis, and she didn't say anything. And so all of a sudden she would be... I warmed her up one time, and she didn't miss a ball, and I'm thinking, excuse me, what is she doing here?
Right.
Because she could be teaching this group like she was that good. And so, but we started her literally on what we called it was NITTL, which is Northern Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a Division 4, which isn't necessarily a low level, but it just wasn't, pre-intermediate. This
Right.
woman was, she played high level tennis, and so we had to start her there. She didn't finish there though.
Right.
Because honestly, some of the ladies just said, "Can you get her out of here?" Because she was just a little too good. And sometimes I think that's one thing we have to remember. If somebody's that much better, it's actually uncomfortable for everybody else.
Well, that's part of the problem. I had a friend that I actually played junior tennis with back in Pittsburgh. And
Sure.
then he played a year or so at Denison. And at the club that he went and played paddle at, they put him at like Series 25 or something. And honestly, it became unsafe.
Yeah.
Because such a big forehand, and it's not fun for anyone when
No.
those guys have to go out there and play these new, 23-year-olds that are
Yes.
smacking balls after, and especially because when you're first starting paddle, you're not controlling the ball like he probably is right now.
Yes.
So, you're kind of hitting balls at people, and then they're upset, and it's tough. I think with tennis too, the level can be a little bit more deciphered as
Sure.
well, where you can move people, but it definitely is a little bit of a hierarchy
Yes.
in paddle, but it has to be a little bit within reason.
Yes. You're I mean, and it's not easy. I mean, this is why, it's probably better. As much as the captains are under pressure sometimes to pair everybody off, not a bad move just to have the directors, head pros involved with pairing. I mean, I know it sounds, now I'm really getting political, but I'm just saying, the only reason I say that is because sometimes you need, and we try to be as objective, I'm just saying, just a staff assistant, but try to be as objective as possible with people's games. We don't have an axe to grind. It's not like, this is my, relative we're talking about. So, but I'm just saying, sometimes I know.
That's nice again.
It was. Touch. And again, that was one of those shots that we necessarily, I say as instructors, don't advise swinging the ball, even on a roller into the forehand corner like that, or the deuce side corner. But as an alternative, not a bad idea. Seems to be working out.
Oh.
Whoa. Just it was the ball was a little long.
It's always a bummer I can't tell from here.
It was just a little long.
But regardless of where, Eddie started, I'm so happy that, we're getting some young blood in here. And
Yes.
he's really, seems like he's loving it. And, we were just talking that Doug's son, who's 22, another one that makes me feel old,
Yes.
has just started playing. Also
Really
on Series
improving by
4.
leaps and bounds,
oh my
by
gosh.
the way.
And it's his first year, and
Yeah.
he's just
Excellent.
unbelievable.
Yeah, they're doing a great job.
And so athletic, and is really understanding, same thing, temperament and all of that stuff of the game, and speed and all of those things, which is really impressive. But it's so nice to see. We want the sport to grow.
Absolutely.
And the only way that's going to happen is we're not going to grab some, people that have they've had the opportunity to play for a long time and they're just not into it.
Yeah, I can tell you this much, coming from and I'll say it because I am one of them, but one of the older set, over 50.
You said that, not me.
Well, I'll say it, of course. I mean, look, I don't mind. I'm in so much trouble anyway. They'll just have
Another one.
They have to get in line, if they want to, they want to shot at me. But anyway, the point is, I got to tell you something. There are a lot of tennis players that I know that have taken up paddle because they feel as though, I don't have to move as much like I do on the tennis court. It's not like I don't have to move, but they actually say, I can actually improve on the paddle court, where I feel like on the tennis court, I'm going to be nothing but regressing because the court's, obviously is a lot bigger. I mean, if I'm playing the younger players, I got to move around. If you want to play singles, good luck when you're getting over 50, unless you keep yourself in great shape to play the kind of singles at the level you used to play. If you played a fair amount like I have, it's difficult to do. But in paddle, I know so many players that are playing paddle now that were tennis players that just loving it because they realize, I can actually improve. This is something that I can get better at even as I get older. Yeah, there's going to be a plateau after a while. There's no question about it. But they kind of feel like this is, they got new life. I know that sounds weird, but
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel that as, at 26, I have always, what I really enjoy about paddle, and especially if you're coming out of tennis and you played, high-level competitive tennis, or the other way, and you're just done with it for a little bit,
right.
or you feel like you've reached your kind of threshold. I think now after a certain age, or injuries or whatever, that yes, it can be hard to get better at tennis, but I don't even feel that necessarily like you can't get better anymore, but you're not necessarily learning after a certain
That's
stage.
a good point. It's good tracking by,
And so as
John
someone who's a
Wilkins.
pro and played Division I college tennis, like I don't know that I could learn anything else, but I could probably improve, just don't care to.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But in paddle, the game is still so new and things are ever changing, and it not only is it the game evolving,
Yes.
but it's still basically. I mean, I've been playing now for 5 years. Like it's still changed, or almost
That's
now 5.5,
amazing.
almost 6. It's still fairly new to me. So
Yeah.
there's so much to still learn in strategy and then the way that people play, and everybody's so different. Where tennis, I feel like it's kind of, been there, done that.
Sure.
It's another way to compete too. That's just new, which is super fun. And when you've played so much singles your entire life, it's nice to have a partner all the time.
I was just going to say that too. But kudos to, and again, I don't mean to embarrass you, but kudos to you to get to the top level of the game, in 5 years. That's pretty impressive. I can tell you this much just from knowing you, the way you think on the tennis court, I could see why you'd be as good at paddle as you are. Because and I'll say it because I'm probably out of the other end of the spectrum, although I do understand and abide by most of the percentages. I'll haul off and hit a few shots that I probably shouldn't hit. And that's why I play a lot of singles and doubles. My doubles partner's like, Sean, what the heck was that? We don't need that. So if you're going to do that, why don't you just play singles?
Wow, what a volley.
It was.
So this is a pretty big point here with them being able
It
to take
is.
it back to 5 and avoid a match point. Does the pressure get to you as much in paddle where you can kind of slow things down more than tennis is always so fast and rapid that, the pressure has more of a chance to get to you? Is that something you notice in paddle where it's kind of easier to make these holds?
Go ahead.
I'm
Go ahead,
sorry.
Spencer.
Who's going up 5-4? If that's the case.
Well, right
Doug
now.
and
yeah.
Charlie are up.
Right
I
now.
think it's easier from a returning position than it is from serving because you just have to put the ball in play. The serve, you only get one. So
Right.
if you miss it, now you're in trouble.
Well, Doug. To be fair, Doug and Charlie are actually down 5-4, but they're up in the
Right.
game.
I also think it's easier to, this is just my opinion, to come
Yep.
back when you're down. Or, I think it's sometimes easier to fight when you're down than
Sure.
like hold a lead,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah. It's funny that you say that. Some people would rather be in that position.
I
Some
am
people
one of those
don't like the
people.
front run. Yeah.
Well, I take that back. I mean, I'd rather be winning, but but sometimes I feel like the pressure doesn't feel as bad. But to your point, John, that you were saying from a singles perspective to paddle, I think the other thing that's really cool about paddle,
Sure.
and that is, my game was pretty suited to paddle from tennis. I was more of a counter punch. I mean, when I was younger, I was definitely like the big banger, but
Sure.
as I got older and injuries happened, I turned into more of a grinder, and that's, I think, very suitable for paddle.
Sure.
But the thing about paddle that I think is so cool is that you have to play
what a
to the
point.
strengths or weaknesses of
Yes.
your partner.
And that brings us to deuce.
There we go.
And it's funny you say that. That's one thing that probably most people don't realize is that your partner is so involved, you pretty much have to play your game to highlight your partner's strengths and
Right.
weaknesses.
Because just because something is good for you does not mean it's good for them.
Absolutely.
And especially when you're at the net.
What a touch.
You need to,
Lefty.
let's say lefty time.
Wow, he might want to rethink that one. But anyway, so Cal's absolutely right. This is a crucial point again here to see if Doug and Charlie can pull even at 5 here. I think there was a point in the match in the first set where it was a very similar point.
Ooh.
Nice touch. Then he picks it out.
It's a good
Oh,
shot.
that was really smart. Yeah, that's alarming right there for a 23-year-old.
So we found out it's Series 29, not Series 26
That's
that
even
Eddie was
worse.
on.
7 or 9. It's below 6, though.
It was below 26,
that's
so there you go.
incredible. Wow. Incredible.
Oh, so we had a Series 27 team, and they were like, who are these young guys coming up? Now we know who it was.
Wow. No wonder. And, of course, we didn't believe them when they were saying that. Oh,
Well,
come
now that
on. They
it's
could have been that good.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is kind of nuts.
Is it match point now?
It is.
It is. It's a good lob by Charlie.
And actually, Cal, to your point, it's amazing because Watrous and Trapp are pretty much just going to say, okay, we're going to be as, looks like right now, be as conservative as we're going to get. We're just not going to miss. And we're just going to look for an error for match point.
It's tough. It's a fine line between playing not to lose and
Yes.
playing, most of paddle kind of is playing not to lose, but it is. It's tough. You want to stick, when you're in this position, you really want to stick with what's been working.
Sure.
I wouldn't say change it up. That's a totally different change.
Yes.
Like, there's no need
Yeah.
for John to run across that court there, and he knows it.
It's a great drive
Yeah.
to give Charlie credit. Kudos
Yeah.
to Charlie. And Doug, man, I tell you what, they're grinding. You got to give them credit. They are just machines back there.
But to that point, like, John would have never done that in the middle of the match. But when it gets that close and you can taste that finish line,
Another good drive by Charlie.
you're running across that court
Yep.
there.
There we go. One more chance to pull even here. Let's see what Doug Friedman can pull off.
Whew. That's a good
Unbelievable.
shot. There's also sometimes I find, I do this a lot, that you want to, like, have a slight hero syndrome.
Sure.
Not necessarily that you want to be the one that ends the
Such
match.
a great way to put it, yeah.
But, like, when I screw up, when I know I've made a big error,
Yeah.
I, like, then immediately try to go cover it and then make it 10 times worse. Where it's like, if I just tell my partner, like, hey, I screwed up, like, I need you to get up here, that's a totally different thing.
If your partner know you well enough to say, hey, listen, don't try to make up for it. That's good hands. Will she do that?
I just
Hey,
need. She just gives.
forget
She gives
about
me
that
like the
error.
mom look.
Okay, yeah.
We call
That's
her
funny.
Mama Bear, and she just looks at me and she goes, "No."
Don't worry about it.
Got
Yeah,
it.
That's good. That's good. You know what? But that's nice because she knows that you understand and you recognize, what you did. Because I think that's half the battle. I really believe that is not just knowing the percentages. I mean, not just for your partner, but knowing them. Period. That you just feel like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. It's not so much don't want to take people's fun away because sometimes it's fun to just haul off and crack one, but you have to kind of be able to afford it. So to
Right.
speak.
But sometimes, yeah, there's definitely that case, and you could see it with John and that match point, that he hit a bad overhead and then immediately went to go cover it up, and he just sometimes, your partner knows that you're not going to hit great shots all the
Yep.
time, and you also have a partner. That's kind of the purpose of having a partner.
Exactly.
Truthfully, is to be like, I messed up. I need you to fix it.
Help me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's immediately you can just yell help, and stuff like that will happen. But when you try to fix it yourself, I would say most of the time it turns into a disaster.
You know what? Yeah, that's probably a good point. If you're going to act, you act as a team. If you're going to fix something, fix it as a team. This two back seems to be working as well, only because Doug seems to like to blitz. Oh, that's a great touch.
He's just got to get out of
Nice
there a little
touch
bit
from
earlier.
John
But I
Watrous
like
right there.
that they're trying something different.
Yeah. Great match.
I also think that if they are going to do the two back, that maybe trying fully staying back may not be a bad idea either. They haven't.
And just played what you might call, I don't want to say play D, because technically if you're at the net in paddle, you're playing D, but just play D
depends.
for the, yeah.
But also just with Doug running in, he's still giving Eddie a target,
Sure.
right? So if you take Eddie's target away, I'm not saying that he'll miss, but we don't know yet.
Got it.
That's a good one. Yeah. It's a little long. That was long.
Wow.
Ooh.
I don't know if he called it out or good. Let's
Charlie
find
thought
out.
it was good. We're going to do it
Thought
again.
was good. Okay. Again, good spirits here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I guess it was in.
Yep.
I always say ball doesn't lie.
Yeah.
There
I
you go.
suppose. Well, look at that. I think just through osmosis they heard you.
They have earpieces. I give all of my guys earpieces while they're out there.
We're
totally legal.
We're going to talk about athletic dishonesty. You know, we talk about it in professional sports. We're talking about it in paddle right now. We don't care. No, it's well, the other thing is you do coach these guys, so I suppose, you know.
It was funny. I had someone the other day, they like take notes of what we tell them, which I think is fantastic.
Sure.
I love that the ladies do that. And maybe some of the guys, I'm not sure. But they were like, you know, if I wrote some notes and then took a screenshot and put it as my screensaver during the match, like, what do you think? And I was like, well, one, that seems maybe a little excessive, but I love the creative thinking, but I don't know if that's legal or not. It's not like you really got advice from someone else.
I don't see why that's... No.
So in tennis, you can look, you can have notes, but I don't know, I honestly don't know if you can have
them on. Can you have them on an iPhone?
No, but
okay, see, yeah, but
but if you just the other thing, I was like, well, why not just write it down?
Print them out. Yeah,
just write it down.
Have them on a little piece of paper.
You know, Sean, this seems up your alley. Have you ever read The Inner Game of Tennis?
Of course, Timothy
Several
Galway.
times.
Yeah, Inner Game of Tennis, Inner Game of Golf, Third Eye, the whole. What a shot! Okay, again, not. Oh, and you know what? Maybe they lose the point there. One of those spinning high backhand volleys. Again, spectacular shot, and Charlie, I mean, pulled it off. Kudos to Charlie. It was an awesome shot. It just puts you in kind of a tough spot.
Yeah.
Because you're spinning around it, and just for that split second, you're out of position, really not know where you need to go, and basically your partner's playing singles, and look what happened. That's a smart volley.
Yeah, we're swinging the ball around a little bit over here.
Another thing I noticed, just because I've watched enough paddle, especially at the down at the level where I'm playing, which isn't actually that far down.
Oh, he's got wheels,
really
man.
has wheels. It's actually part of it might have even been anticipation. He just saw it coming, but he was quick. But anyway, I noticed the communication gets better and better as the series increases. In other words, or you get to single digits and you just hear it. I mean, literally every ball.
Well, the second you don't is when it goes through the middle of you two, and now you're in trouble. And as pro, like that
right
one,
there.
like that should be talked about.
Great cue right there. And that was a game point. Whoops.
Mm-hmm.
So.
You never want to lose a point because somebody didn't say something.
Right.
Like if you miss it, that's one thing. But if no one said anything, then that's a little bit of a different. I mean, that's something that would really bother me.
Sure.
I mean, my partner and I will call it so early sometimes where she'll be like, yours, and I've got time to be like, no, can't get there, sorry. But it just depends on, the team, but there should always be some sort of communication.
Do you find because you play with somebody on a regular basis, you don't have to communicate quite as much?
No.
Okay. See, I love hearing that because I really believe that. I think you're right. I think no matter what, you're better off saying something and being communicative, whether you've been playing with that person for years or you've just started.
I also think it just makes you more dynamic in general that you can then play with anybody.
You're right.
So if you're not used to communicating and then all of a sudden, and then all of a sudden you have to, it gets really tough. Like, I'm playing a tournament with Allison Morgan. Shout out to Al at Birchwood. This coming weekend, and we practiced with actually Doug and another one of our guys, Andrew Becker, last week.
From Friedman, by the way.
And Allison and I are both very loud on the court. There's never a question of whose ball is what, and there's certain things that you don't know. Maybe if that's something that your partner would normally take, or if Charlotte, her partner, would take something, or whatever it is. But because it's so early, we've got time to then readjust to it. So it definitely helps.
Yes.
It definitely helps, but it's still, you need the communication still.
No, couldn't agree more. As a matter of fact, I'm trying by the way, this is, we're getting tenuous here because it is 30-15.
Ooh, that's
what
a great
shot.
return. You guys
right.
got to get each other's way.
Get it together. At least they did.
But that's the hero complex.
Yeah. Good hands. Look at this kid.
It is funny to me to watch Doug hit some volleys sometimes because he makes volleys that I wouldn't even think to get in front of. Like, not one part of me would think, because my hands just aren't that. We all have our strengths.
He does.
That's
it's
not
incredible.
Mine.
Talk about timing for a Nick overhead.
Charlie.
Phillips. We're back to 30 all. Awesome.
Make him play. Nice, Charlie.
That's something I'm getting better at, by the way. I never used to bounce off the screens.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I
they're
believe-
your best friend.
I believe,
It's like
well, I'm so heavy now, I think I'm just going to, uh-oh.
Oh, wow.
All right,
I have to say, I think that shot was out.
was it out?
What'd you say?
Was it out?
It did look to me.
Did it look like it was out?
think
All right, well, hopefully we you know, this is going to be this way until we have play sight on all the courts.
Get
I
some
think that's what
Hawkeye
we're gonna,
going.
yeah, because we'll just need Hawkeye for, you know, and it's just a matter of time, by the way. Because
I don't know if Jeremy Renner's available.
I'm
to do
amazed.
this 24/7.
We're not playing it back. I think I just heard play it on video. We're not. No.
Yeah,
Not
we could
playing
take
it
a
back,
look at
guys.
it. Well, no, they could take a look at it at home. We do
Yeah.
have the ability, actually. For instant replay, we just have not
Don't tell
instituted.
them
it.
that.
No, I'm not. They don't know that. But I mean, we do and we will. But I don't think we're allowed to actually.
It was definitely a very
Get
close ball
involved.
as well. Yeah,
It was
very
close. And again, good spirits.
It's a tough one. It's, you know, in fairness, they did give several other,
They you know what,
like,
Coach,
big,
they have.
several other calls.
There's no question about it.
But it
so
looks like we're just going to decide to
They're gonna
replay it.
You know, what, always the best thing to do.
That is the nice thing about paddle as well, is if you really can't agree and something's an issue,
Yeah.
then most of the time we do just replay it.
Sure.
I will say in tournament play that doesn't happen as often, but
Yeah.
in league play,
Yeah.
it's almost guaranteed. At least in the women's game, from
You know what?
most
That's
of the time.
that's nice to hear.
I don't remember the last time I didn't like replay one in league play.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
No, there's no need
Yes,
to have
it's a
hard
close
feelings.
match, but
and
you know, no, not at all.
You know what's interesting is I actually find it easier to call the ball in tennis than I do in paddle, even though it's further away from you. So I guess it was in. There you go.
That's the rule.
That's the rule. If you win
Yeah,
the next
if
point,
you
it
win
was
the
in
next
or out.
point, obviously we were right.
But
Or
there's
they were
something
right.
about tennis that it's further away. I don't know if it's you've got more
Yeah,
reaction time
yeah,
or what,
maybe.
but I really struggle to call the ball in paddle. Like, it's my partner's job most of the time.
Yeah.
All right, so that brings us to a deuce. and
Back
game
to
point
deuce.
here.
Yes.
Cal's counting them. He wants to know if there's more in paddle or tennis, if we're lying to him or
Yeah,
not.
I know. As soon as I asked that question, I think we
Oh,
went from
jumpy.
having not a single
Unbelievable.
deuce to now we've had 4 or
So
5.
that's an
Yeah.
interesting ball that Charlie's hitting there, because Eddie has missed that shot now on several occasions. And if I were Charlie, that's something that you want to start tracking,
Sure.
because Eddie has seemed to be a great volleyer until it's right at, because he's a little bit taller, right at his right hip, he's struggling a little bit.
Which is what a lot of taller players take my
Absolutely.
word for it, because I'm kind of
'Cause you're
one of
tall.
them. Yeah, has a problem with it. Matter of fact, I'm not sure there are a lot of people who don't do or do really well with a ball hit at their right hip.
No,
in
it's very
tennis or paddle.
difficult.
Oh yeah.
And so
Right-handers, by the way.
right, so like that ball to me just now should have went right at his right hip,
Yeah. Yeah.
because there's no downside
well,
there, right? It comes back, no big deal, but it's always going to be a defensive volley,
Yes. Kind of
and you've
chicken,
got a lot
chicken wing.
more
you know.
room to work with.
Yeah. See,
That's a
right
great
there.
volley. Go, Dougie
honestly,
Fresh.
I'm going to give Dougie Fresh. I love it. That's a great nickname for him, too.
Oh yeah, he earned. It's a good. Yeah, it
definitely-
definitely suits him. Ooh.
Oh. Again, grinding. Charlie sporting the vintage Sergio Tacchini. I noticed that. That's kind of cool. It's right. That's right out of my era. Way
I don't
back
know if
when.
we can put this on the air, but one of our fellow pros just made a wonderful comment. Here you go, Sean.
Let me see what we're looking at. Oh, jeez. No, we cannot put that on the air. I'm not even sure who said it, but
I think you probably have a couple guesses.
Okay. By the way, that was his game. So,
And there it is again, serving, or
6
that
all.
drive going in between them.
all right. Now, one thing for those of you, again, tens of people, or hopefully watching at home. This is a Komen tiebreaker for paddle. You start on the ad side, 1 point, and then we switch sides, and then it's a 2-point series that everybody serves from here on. always from the due side, and you're always serving on the same side, which is kind of brilliant in a way. We don't really institute that in tennis, at least universally. We do in some of the league tennis play, but that was a great move by Doug, by the way. The blitz right there, because just out of the corner of his eye, maybe John Watros had an issue with it. I'm not taking anything away from him, but peripherally, you see somebody coming at you like that, it's kind of a tough to make the volley. Yeah, and when you get into a tiebreaker, it's just, oh, what a shot. Come on. You just got to bow to your sensei right there. Yeah. Just clap. I've had students at one point when somebody hits a shot like that, they'll ask, hey, what do I do with that? You clap is what you do.
Right. There are certain times, it's hard to hit a winner in paddle, but every
Yes.
now and then it happens, and you just got to
Exactly.
give them the props.
Right, exactly. That was, I mean, he was going one way, he hit the ball the other way. Nice touch on that lob. Good pickup. No way. Oh, there we go. Again, vintage Doug Friedman right there. That
Yeah.
was an amazing touch.
Eddie's really hanging in there, though,
He is.
with the touch of Doug, which, as somebody who plays Doug quite often, that is not easy to do.
No. A lot of patience. He's there. Look at that.
No, you don't drop shot the
Oh.
young guy.
Wow.
Oh, no way.
No way. Unbelievable.
Well done.
You don't see that. Two guys literally crushed into the corner
So
and
Sean,
win the point. Yes, sir.
for the viewers at home and not myself, how does this tie break work scoring-wise? What do we go to?
You will go to 7.
7.
We'll go to 7 by a margin of 2. Or it could be 8-6, 9-7, whatever, but at least to 7 by a margin of 2. Just like a tennis tiebreaker.
All right.
Wow.
So that brings us to 3-2.
3-2 and a switch.
The Coleman tiebreaker, to me, from a doubles format, makes so much more sense.
Oh, absolutely.
You're always serving on the same side. It's
Yep.
easier to remember that.
Yep. You remember the score.
Yeah,
For
right.
those of us, well,
The adding and subtracting is
Right,
a little
right,
easier
right,
because
right.
you know based on what side you were on.
I find it easier to keep score in paddle because it's colder. When it gets hot, I don't really care after a while. It's like it's too hot.
See,
Great
that's funny because
return.
I'm the opposite.
Really?
I'm so cold that I
Really?
can't remember anything. It's really interesting to me that this is what I've chosen for my career path because I
That's a
hate the
good
cold.
point.
Like I
That's,
absolutely.
you know
hate
what?
being
You're
cold.
right. You'd think there's no way.
Now I will say though, as a pro, you find ways to stay warm, but
Yes.
I am not the person that like I am a paddle enthusiast, but I am not the person that like hangs outside at a tournament to watch. Like if I can sit inside, but during COVID,
Yes.
as I had said earlier, my boyfriend Mitch plays, and
What is
he
putt?
is
This is great rally.
he is an amazing human for this, for many
Yes.
other reasons, but for this as well. But I was playing a
He
tournament
seems
in
like a good guy.
Hinsdale
Yeah.
last February when it was like -10 for a month,
It,
and
don't
it
tell me
was
he's outside.
he
cheering for
had
him.
because they would not let the players or
Go
the
into the-
non-players be indoors,
Unbelievable.
and
Look at this
poor
point.
thing watched me for a 3-hour match outdoors in -10 degrees.
All right.
I was
Kudos
like,
to
I was like, that man deserves a medal.
Mitch. That's impressive.
And
Okay. Yeah. He's a keeper.
oh yeah, and I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I could have done it.
Yeah. Wow. See,
I
now
mean,
you're
I
being
would've-
honest. You know what? I appreciate that.
just-
Seriously, no. That's dedication.
I don't know that I
No.
could do like. I mean, yeah. I mean, I was like, you might get frostbite. I mean, it was
Go.
really, really bad.
That's a great.
He's
volley.
there.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I can't believe. First of all, John Watros picking that out after the nick was unbelievable as it was, and then for Eddie Trapp to get over there and even make a play on that neck ball was amazing.
Well, here we go. This is this could be the end of the set here,
Right.
and it
There
is.
we go. Like we were saying, if you have the ability to concentrate and stick with it and grind, you can get back into a match. And I don't think there's any better way to define it than what Charlie and Doug have done, pulling even.
What I love about that set too with Charlie and Doug is they didn't play particularly well, but they still found a way to win.
Absolutely.
That's such an
They hit
important
the
thing
right
in
shots
paddle.
at the right time. And again, hit some better locations too. We got to say that. Do we need to pay a few bills here, Cal?
We do.
So we'll see you on the other side. We're just going to be back in a little bit.
From the heart of Chicago up to the North Shore and stretching from the northwest suburbs down to Kankakee. From urgent in-office care to virtual in-home visits, We're making orthopedic care available wherever and however you need it. Because while we're adapting our lives to keep each other safe, we know that new injuries will happen and old injuries will still linger. And IBJI is here to help.
Illinois Bone and Joint Institute is the best choice for orthopedic care. Our walk-in ortho access clinics provide treatment by orthopedic specialists without a trip to the ER. With evening and weekend hours, we provide your family with excellent care when it matters most. Visit ibji.com to find an ortho access immediate care clinic near you.
All right, we're back on the air. This is the third set and deciding set, you might say.
We've got drama. I love it.
We do.
Give me all the drama. Not when it's in my own match, but I will happily take it in this one.
Oh,
Ooh, that's a good nick.
off the noggin. We've all been there.
Several times.
I definitely, yeah, absolutely.
It's like
15-0.
Coach Matthew just finished
Is
up.
he done?
I don't know what happened, but he's still upright, so that's good.
Absolutely.
Do you want to take my spot?
No, you're doing great.
It's all right. So, Trapp and Watros just won a quick game right there. So that's got to feel good getting that under the belt. But let's just see how Charlie and Doug, Phillips and Friedman, I should say, fare after this. We'll just check it out. What a pickup.
Ooh, that's a good one. No way. He has made some insane gets.
Unbelievable,
Like
no
to
question.
the point where now I feel like if the court is open, we should not be hitting the ball there. Like, every time it's looked open, it's not open. I mean, the one he made in the breaker was just unbelievable.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Do we know what kind of steroids he's on? Oh, okay. We can't confirm nor deny, but we heard HGH is really what's making it happen.
His urine is green.
It was like 4-1, and all of a sudden it was 5-6. That's crazy. Can't run the clock out.
Going into that deuce side. You know how much Coach Matt loves that right there.
Well, when someone's that good of a dick, I just don't see the added value here.
No, you're right. And it does make sense.
It is interesting that one thing I would love to see from either team is that when at the net, one guy can't beat you by themselves,
No.
right? So if I were, Charlie and Doug, I mean, he's just making some incredible gets over there. I would just let him go cold for a little bit
That's a
and
great
let Eddie see a
thought,
bunch of balls.
Coach. No.
Especially Eddie's playing great, but as being a newer guy, let's see how much he can hang.
You know, that works in team sports all the time, and you'd think that, and I'm not to take anything away from Charlie or Doug, but you would think that would be top 5 in terms of options in your head.
Mm-hmm.
I played a lot of basketball, and if somebody's got the hot hand, we don't want them.
Right.
We don't want them touching the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like we would just deny it as much as we could. Nice. Good backup there from young Eddie Trapp.
Do it again. There you go. Keep going.
Pick on him. Nice. Oh, that's
But
smart. That's just
that's
smart.
what it's gonna take. Keep it going.
Yeah, that was just really smart.
Matt has a saying that everyone can do one push-up, but can they do
Yeah,
two, or three, or
the
4,
push-up
or
principle.
17? I don't know.
Absolutely.
Well, Matt's doing a lot of push-ups tonight after that.
Says his opponent, Dan McGuire.
Rage quit. Sport over. Everybody's got to have a bottom.
That was it.
Well, it looked like an entertaining match, Coach. Though.
I have to say that him and Ben did give you an E. See, Will Coleman did and Andy Murray the underhands.
The underhand serve, the visionary.
All right, so
There you
we're at
go.
40-30.
That's my
I should
best
say
guess.
30-40. My mistake. 30-40 here. So it's a break point. So let's see if Friedman and Phillips can stave off
I don't think Ben wanted to.
a possible break here.
I was generally unaware because I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, that's a tough spot.
That's going to be a tough break, maybe to come back from. But you know what? This has happened before, and they were able to come back and win this. So this is still a ball game here, but a big advantage for Trapp and Watros at this point.
Hey, good plan.
Yeah. I mean, John Watros is just playing unbelievable here.
Maybe not quite in shape to play that style of match.
It's a nice pace of the serve too, Coach. In other words, he's just got like that's. I mean, he does get in. I mean, it almost seems a little hard, but you know what? He gets in so quick. He's got a nice first volley.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's got a great volley. He doesn't really need to do too much with it.
Right. Another thing I was going to mention too, Coach, and it was something we've seen more than once, especially in a match like this, where we talk about the importance of that first volley. If you serve properly enough, you get your partner involved enough where he'll make, or she will make some of the first volleys for you if you're the server, which is, another, I guess, percentage play that just has more to do with how our shot selection than anything else. What a dig by Charlie.
Absolutely. I will say that I think as level goes up, that happens less.
Sure.
But definitely, it can't hurt you. Let's put that. I mean, even if they don't help you in making the volley, them just occupying space,
Sure.
Helps you knowing that you only have to cover a certain amount of
Exactly.
space.
No question about it.
Oh, there you go. That's always
man.
nice to have. He saved that
The
for a
let
good
court
time. If you're
ace.
going to do it, the third set is a good one to go up 3-0.
I was going to say you don't see that in tennis very often, but then again, I haven't played college tennis for a long time, and apparently in college. Now,
That's
you're
the
young
ball
enough,
again.
you had to play that, didn't you? Didn't you play Let's in college?
Only the men had to.
Oh, really?
Yes, so the
Wow.
women did not. We still did not play Let's. The men, only Division I, I believe, do. I
Really?
think every other division does not.
Wow. I had no idea.
But, which is interesting to me.
Oh, a shot by Doug Friedman. Coverage was there, but he was kind of in the way.
It was that hero volley again. He had a bad volley and knew that he wanted to cross. Just got to let your partner take it for you.
Awesome. Well, they're staying patient. I got to give them credit. There we go.
It's a good overhead.
Yeah, Doug's kind of a screen machine. Kind of liking the rhythm here.
I still haven't seen them switch in the backcourt yet.
Exactly.
I'm still interested if, they're catching a rhythm on these overheads.
Right.
Although that's a good one. Wow.
Wow. Oh, it's a great
Great point,
poach. I should say closer blitz by Charlie. And there it is. The
Okay, well,
break
I had the score wrong that game,
back.
so I apologize for
That's
that.
all right. No, don't worry about it. Maybe that's where we got to turn the shotgun mic up. a
It
little.
takes a village.
Always does.
At what point in the match do you really start getting tired, Sean? Is that the third set?
I think point
Be
3
anywhere.
for me is point number 3. I get tired. I need some type of a brownie or something. Give me a.
Is that an age group thing, Spencer? That younger
It can be. I would say there's mentally tired, and then there's physically tired, and then there's your mental that makes you physically tired.
Well put.
So
You're right.
if you're exhausted from thinking, that can make everything else kind of break down. You don't move quite the same way.
Sure.
I haven't been super tired in a match in a while. Maybe at the end of a tournament day.
Let me tell you what it feels
But-
like then. I mean,
But mentally, I've
Look at
certainly
this.
been tired.
unbelievable get by John Watros. That was incredible.
And that usually happens when you're about to lose.
Yes. That I can attest to for sure.
You're like 3 or 4. You're like, I don't
Yeah.
know. You're probably about 3 games from losing, and your brain is just like, okay.
Yes.
I'm about cashed here.
Oh, what a screen drive. Wow.
Michigan
another-
Shores team is a little
yeah.
rowdy in here. I like it though.
This is another advantage to team paddle.
But that's
where-
another one where
oh.
I like the shot that Doug is hitting. I just think it's going at the wrong person.
It's good. That's another great point. Yeah, sometimes just go to the location and figure
Right.
out who it is that's hurting you.
It's
To your
paddle
point.
is such a tough game in that it's not always about what's good for you. It's about what's not good for them. So just because you like something,
Yeah.
he might like it more than you.
So,
Yeah,
wow.
like I think they should bait that more than the screen drive. This guy's
I
drive
agree.
is fantastic off the screen. He hasn't hurt them very much though,
No,
off the deck.
no. Off a lower screen drive, he has no problem.
No issue at all.
Right. Handles
And
the
Eddie,
seam
as
pretty
we've
well
talked
too.
about, is great, but he doesn't have a screen. Like he's,
No, not
I
off the
shouldn't say he
backhand
doesn't-
side, for
right.
sure.
I shouldn't say he doesn't have a screen drive. He just isn't using
He's
it
not
very
using
often.
it.
In the event that he has one.
Well, he's only been playing for like a week.
Right, right. For the 5 minutes he's been playing, he's doing really well. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's been talked about yet tonight. Is Eddie young?
Eddie is
Yes.
23.
Was that sarcastic? Or was it, okay, I thought. See, I'm just slow
I
on
don't
the
catch it all
uptake.
the time.
I know. I'm slow on the uptake. Oh, that was kind of
That was better, yeah.
a kind of a screen drive. So we're going to see if we can coax Coach McClure onto the mic soon. We're going to let him eat something, though. Because he apparently worked pretty hard in the match
Nice,
there.
there you go. Nuts. Can't believe
So what are we
that.
at, 30-40 here, I want to say? Yeah.
Ooh, bringing
That
some
had
heat over there.
That's some pace on that one.
Little pickleball touch going as well.
Pickleball.
Do it again.
That was a nice touch, too.
To Cal's point, the other way that you make someone tired, Cal, is that you just beat him into the ground. Like you
Well,
just gotta
kinda like
keep
that.
it on him for as long as you can. When you swing the ball around, it makes you more tired than the other team because you have to move a little bit more.
Pulled even. We're back at deuce now. So, way to grind back to even
It's a
here.
great serve. Well, let's keep it here for a little bit. It'll bring you some trouble.
I think it bears mentioning also that if the ball gets anywhere near the nick, I have not seen one player in this match. Look at this. Oh, what a shot. Nice try. Tell you what, you're right. That low screen drive
It's
for
just
John
not
Watrous.
worth it.
Not only that, he's just rolling. I don't think he's missed maybe one the whole match.
And he's holding it so well that they're not able to read it.
Yep.
It's, again, great touch.
The hands.
That's better.
Oh,
See, there's
nice,
that
Charlie.
ball again, that if Charlie's going to hit drives, that's the spot it needs to go to,
Yep.
the right hip of Eddie. But other than that, he really hasn't shown much weakness on the volley, but that's
No.
the one.
Look at this.
J-Dubs. Yeah, baby.
No, what I was
Oh,
gonna,
my
what I was
goodness.
saying is that any ball that's hit near the nick, I have not seen one instance where the player that's not actually playing the ball has not covered.
Yes,
In
they're
other words-
covering it quite well.
Yeah,
We try.
no question.
From both-
Oh, kind of costly. Back to deuce.
He'd say charity.
Nice. Again, there was
better
the
one.
check. And for those of you that the 4 of you that are watching at home, just so you know, I'm talking about John Watrous covering for Eddie Trapp when the ball goes into the nick, and he's actually bolting to the center just in case the ball caroms off the. We're missing a lot of banner here. We should get like
Yeah.
6 mics out here.
I
'cause
know.
I think we've got a lot of. I don't know if we can put it all on the air, but
Oh, it's the first time it's worked.
again, vintage Friedman right there, vintage McGruber, but vintage Friedman going with that touch
It's
angle.
funny that every time when you say vintage Friedman, I immediately go Mike Friedman.
Yeah, I know. He is definitely vintage Friedman, but I'm just.
I know we have at least one listener. Mike Rule told me he's watching.
Is he still watching?
Mm-hmm.
Good for Mike. Good guy.
Rena Omoler might be on there too.
Really
I don't know. I told her that we were on it. She said she would watch it, but we'll see.
awesome.
I'll have to look later.
Well, we're trying to make it so that even if you just want to put it in the background, not even watch part of the match, and just listen, maybe we can do. It's tough to do play-by-play though for paddle because there are just so many shots. We try to keep
That's
people
not.
going.
I mean, wow.
Boom. Sit. Oh.
Chuck.
There we go.
The thing that I love about this, as opposed to some of the, the live stream of the tournaments that we normally see, and it's all fantastic, is it's wonderful for, some lower series, or if you really don't know what paddle is, like this is what
Yep.
paddle looks like all the time. Sometimes when you see those high-level guys or the women and you see all the spin and that stuff, like it's not as attainable looking.
Yes.
I guess is probably the word
Yes.
I would use.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have a little bit of a different view.
No question about it. Matter of
See-
fact, I laughed because I was broadcasting at one point with Coach Matt, and some of those lobs, in other words, up near the lights, aren't necessarily always used
Charlie gave
in
it
like
back
a
to him
Series
there.
1 matches. They do
they're
blocks.
not.
Yeah, a lot of one-time blockers, But it's just because they can get away with it. But
Well,
they will. I should, to be fair, they will hit a few sky walking lobs.
It's a lot of when they need time. The big
Yes.
difference to me between the men's and women's game is the height of the lob. The men tend to lob a little bit lower,
Sure.
and I think the reason for that is because they've got a lot more spin. So when you don't hit the ball super high in the air, they don't really have as much time to set up and hit those shots. Where
That's
for
a good
women,
point,
without,
Coach.
without the spin, we
That's
want that ball coming off the screen as much as we can.
That's a great point, Coach.
I think that's the first one of those he's missed.
Well, anytime I'd like to think that maybe we've been kind of the maybe multi-course meal, and now we've got the dessert coming because
Coach Matt in the
Coach Matt
building.
has joined us.
What's happening on this court?
Wow.
Well, you
What a
just saw
volley.
that.
15, 5-7, 7-6, 3-1.
3-1 right
Wow.
now. And by the way, I believe it's 50,
sorry.
It might be 15-30. No, it's not your fault. It's actually my
That's a
fault.
great drive.
Okay, yeah,
by
I think
Doug.
it might be 15-40. Let me see.
Oh boy.
Seems like 15-40 based on that reaction.
Yeah, but when Doug hits it, yeah. I'm thinking it's 15-40.
I don't know.
Anyway,
We're gonna find out
it
here in
is
a minute.
now.
Yep,
Yep,
there you go.
So there's a break back for 3-2 by Friedman and Phillips. So it's getting tighter and even more entertaining, as if it could get more entertaining. I didn't think it could, but apparently it has. So
I missed
It
that.
can only get entertaining if I get another cookie. What's going on over there with dessert?
yeah. Well, see, technically you were the dessert. Don't take that the wrong way.
We're
but-
running low on beef, but apparently they think we need enough cookies to feed a small army.
That's usually
That's
how
my
that goes.
fault, Coach.
96 cookies currently available in the Lakeshore Country Club
Cal
hut.
brought you a cookie there,
I asked.
Coach
Thanks.
Matt.
I asked for
Appreciate
the
it,
cookie,
Cal.
Coach. It was me that
You're the best volunteer assistant I've ever had. That's a good reset there from Doug.
Why did he fill out a W-2? Then?
I just wanted his social security number. I just am collecting them for a project.
I knew that mortgage in Carolina wasn't real for me. Or again,
Shot.
just in case
The
you missed
Friedman
it last
special.
time. See, there we go. I was calling it vintage Doug Friedman, like vintage MacGruber, but you know what?
No, that's right.
The Friedman special is better, actually.
Yeah, but MacGruber blows up at the end.
Well,
That's how the skit works.
Okay,
hopefully
I'm gonna
that's
leave
not
that
Such a
one alone.
sneaky drive from
I'm going to leave that
Watrous.
alone. It was.
And Doug closing the net again. Playing his
lob.
perfect position.
I'm telling you, that two-handed kind of poke lob from John Watrous is just he's a machine on that side. Look at that.
digging really well.
He is. Series 29. Come on.
I think they're lying.
It's just unbelievable. All right, so he did hit that hard going off his back foot there. Wouldn't necessarily as a paddle instructor.
Who's Series 29? Me?
No.
Eddie, this
Eddie, the one in the white hat.
Oh,
Played
I could have played Series 29 tonight. What are we at score-wise? Oh, sorry, this was something Cal was doing, and then he passed me the
That's right.
headset.
That's right. That's okay.
15:30.
I think so. They don't seem to quite understand either.
Well, at least they're talking about it.
Look, they're going to ask us. That's funny.
That's going to be great.
5, 30. Was that helpful? You're up. Can someone go out? Because it's 30-15.
Tell
Say
him
it's
tell
30.
him it's 30-15.
It's 30-15.
30-15.
There you go.
That was my guess. Hopefully that was right.
I think
They
that
don't
was
seem
correct.
they don't seem to be arguing with it.
Apparently, I can't do sign language.
That's
We
okay.
I now
can we
know
can
that
roll
that's
back
not
the
the thing.
tape. It'll be fine.
It's okay. No, I think that's what it was.
$20 that I was wrong. That was
right.
wide.
Yep.
Yeah.
You get it. Yes, you know it.
30 all.
Yes, exactly. 30 deuce, as some people like to call it.
There's
a
the
Nick.
Nick.
Oh, you know what? For the
That's a
first
good time
time,
to use
What
it.
a cannon.
I'm going to say it because I thought I'd been right the whole time, but for the first time, I'm just going to say it as we've been extolling the virtues of young Eddie Trapp. He did not cover on that Nick.
Well, he couldn't. It was a serve.
On the serve.
I suppose that, but you know what? Wait a minute. Wouldn't you do that anyway?
No.
Am I wrong? Is it just
You
too?
can't on the serve.
What a shot!
I mean, he
Because-
should have played it,
take.
to lose the point just to be a good partner.
But, yeah.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah. What kind of consideration are you demonstrating if you're not gonna?
And by what I would have done, what I mean is, oops, that camera got tilted a little bit. And back to the center view. I would have watched it and said, great serve.
Yes. And are there any other of those cookies that we have? The one timer.
I like the support of Doug Friedman telling his partner he had a great lap. It's
Mm-hmm.
quite nice.
No,
That
that's
is
a good
nice.
move.
Everybody's in line for the sportsmanship
game.
award, really. You know, everybody's at.
Yeah. See, what I like to do after a match is I get to eat one cookie for every game I won, which is why I'm really wishing we would have gone to a third in that breaker.
That was
Because
again, there's that low screen drive by John Watros. That had some extra steam on it, Coach.
Yeah, I really think we got to stay out of that corner over there.
by shortening the first set,
All right. Nice. There we go. The shotgun mic is paying off because now we're hearing the communication, which is something we've been advocating.
we're
for
trying
a
to
sky
just pick
hook
up on
from
the
Charlie.
communication and nothing else.
Oh, did you make that?
Good
What a
scramble.
dig.
Unbelievable.
Nice ball.
No way.
That was a
Sit.
little wide.
Oh, leave it
Oh.
a
What a
little
point.
wide.
Tell you
Do
what,
we have any idea what's going on
Advantage.
court 4?
we don't.
No?
Did I miss that point? We were deuce?
No.
Okay.
It's deuce.
Let's call
But
it
you know-
deuce, guys.
But not only there it is again. But Doug's ready for it this time. I don't know what's going on in court 4. This is why we need kind of an on-court correspondent, Coach. You know what I mean? Like we could
Ramp the
get
budget up.
somebody out there with
Well,
the,
let's pay Spencer to be out there in a parka.
we'll put a wind
Everybody knows
machine
how
out
much she
there.
loves that.
Oh no
Good
way!
pick, Charlie.
No way! No!
Oh!
Oh!
And it pays off.
Wow! And
done.
the crowd is loving it. When I say crowd, I mean it's a definition. Really, it's all relative.
Us and then the 10 people at home.
There's
Exactly.
9 people in here. It's a gaggle.
That's right. It's a COVID crowd, so we can only
Yeah,
have
right.
so many people in here.
Right, we're all spread out.
Oh,
Oh, he went after
he
it a
wanted
little bit
that
more.
one.
Probably not. I mean, then again, if he makes it,
I mean, if it's
No,
a free
you're switching.
point.
that's right.
Score.
You don't. There's no switching.
Wait, you won the.
Yep, that was game.
It's
Oh,
game.
it's not?
3 all.
So it's 3 all.
Oh, I thought that made it 3-2.
No.
Shows
3
what
all,
I
no
know.
switching. Were you saying earlier one of these guys needed help on their Series 27 team? Because I'd like to apply for the position. Is that what the
You know
discussion
what?
was?
Yeah,
No,
he
it-
just.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was,
That's probably the right call, Andy.
You know what? It's one of those like mini tour
Go forward.
battlefield promotions.
wow.
I think he
Oh,
got.
hit it.
Oh,
I had a chance.
Charlie's going down the line, not even cross court. There's a guy having fun. You know what I mean? Forget the percentages for a second. I'm at the service line. I'm crushing this ball up the line.
I don't know if he's having so much fun with the decision making now,
All right,
but
maybe not. But it is.
But it
It is
started
3-0.
well.
It is 3-0.
that's something else that I really haven't seen them do much of was Charlie's hit some really nice low returns, and Doug is rather quick. I would love to
Yes.
see a blitz or two in there.
You know, it's funny. Do you think you'd ever have to tell Doug to
Right,
blitz.
it was kind of my thought as well. This is a first.
Yeah, that's going to work.
Oh, it was
the
going to
classic
dribble
miss
down
hit.
into the court.
I'm just going to say it just in case, and nobody's really thinking this, but anybody who ever played tennis with me knows that if I see a miss hit, I can tell you right now it's going to be a good
Oh,
shot.
you're going to the net.
That
I
will
mean,
not
you
only-
shank
No
a ball,
one
you
all the time.
close.
Yeah.
No question.
No one has shanked a ball ever in life better than Sean Albrecht.
Because I'm just telling you, as soon as he hits it, I'm going, that's going to be a problem. Like, I can tell you that right now. Like, as soon as it leaves the paddle or the racket, I was like, oh, yeah, that's going to bite.
I think almost every time you've hit one, you've like hit a corner, it's bounced over my head. It's a whole thing.
Well, the thing is, I only hit 90% of my, I miss hit 90%
Good
of my
hands.
God.
Nice fight.
Unbelievable. You know what? I think Cal got that on
hope so.
on tape because we got to put that in.
We're going to have a little
montage of some
celebration
kind.
I love
montage.
that.
Wow.
That was a hockey. I scored a
Lakeshore
goal
paddle.
thing.
It's a
that
gas.
helpful?
Yeah, that was
Hockey, I
amazing.
scored a goal
Celebration.
thing is the technical term for what just happened. in case-
Celebration. I really had to quit the brain fart there of what the word celebration was.
That's all right.
Oh.
My brain's been doing all sorts of other things, so you know, if my brain's gonna do that too, well, so be it. Get in there. Good leave.
Yeah. And he's missed a couple of drives here and take it down just a little
Am
bit.
I? I've,
He's missed
I've
tough
only
ball to
seen.
hit hard.
I've only seen
Yeah.
young Eddie Trapp play before once. I mean, not even once, but that seemed uncharacteristic. That, I mean, not that he couldn't hit it that hard, but he usually has not been hitting it
No.
with quite that much pace.
And what, it was in the French Open?
Well, he just, you know what, he played
The year before he played U10.
18 and under.
He played the 18 and under division, and the next year,
Exactly.
that's what he does. They like to
Yeah.
move up.
It was a novice event, actually.
Okay, we got a little 40 low
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Courtesy Jacob Mazer, 40 low. Well, what?
There
That's
you
a
go, now
good
he's
rip
got
right
one.
there. Back in action.
Took a little bit of pace off of that one.
Yep.
It's interesting. They seem to be looking for some drives that they weren't earlier. Cleared it. Oh boy.
Oh, and
Worked out, but
holding his
sheesh.
ground.
Unbelievable.
I mean, but for
You got to see the turnaround in this match has been kind of dramatic.
it has, and all of the errors from this side of the court have come from off the deck.
Absolutely.
So for these guys, if you're going to look for some offense, I would be looking for it from the screen drive as opposed to off the deck.
Great point, Coach. Great point. I mean, that's just another way you can change the pace a little bit,
For Doug, I would now say it needs to be off the deck, maybe not off the screen drive.
especially after that
But the
one.
Michigan Shores team, keep driving off the screen instead.
To be fair, I think that's one of the only ones he's missed, though. He's
Yeah.
been pretty consistent on that side. It's been pretty impressive. Uh-oh.
Yeah. It was
I've done that before.
once or twice.
We've all.
I learned that from television. That's
I learned it from Matt.
where I have that shot. You can't blame me for
Some-
all of that.
I was like, no, can I not? I don't
Okay,
know.
fine. You can.
The serving, I don't know.
I'm
who's
blaming
meant for.
myself, people.
I
Everything
can blame
you
you
do
for the
poorly
success, too.
is Matt McClure's fault, and everything you do well is Will Colmar, COLMAR, available for lessons at North Shore Country Club.
I don't know. Will might go the other way and disagree with you there.
Oh,
Oh,
You know
the
what?
net
That's a time to
dribbler.
run.
destiny is calling. That's what they call that.
It's a home court advantage
Destiny
shot.
is calling.
Hello, Destiny. Yes, I'll hold.
Is this 1540? Hold on, I think it is. Yeah, it might be. This might be match point right here, and he
Oh,
does
he's
go after
there.
the drive. That's a great get by John Watros. You just have to give him complete
He's
credit
just-
here. It's crazy. This point's still going.
Ooh, I don't know if I would
Sweet.
switch then.
Oh my
Smart
gosh.
ball.
That's a good one.
There it
Well
is.
played.
There was another hockey thing.
Unbelievable match, though.
That
So,
was a
yeah.
good one.
5-7,
Really
7-6, 6-3 to close it out.
Unbelievable. So this matches just keep getting better and better, Coach.
Yeah,
Both
it's a
coaches
good
here.
finish, and probably
I don't know.
important because I think our lights go off automatically in about 7 minutes here at
Pretty
Lakeshore
close.
Country
I
Club.
think it's
So
10, right?
Hey, I can eat cookies in the dark.
yeah, no, I have no problem with that.
I don't
but
care.
I do think there's a local ordinance that
Yes.
turns our lights off. But
Not that it ever stopped us, but you're right. There is a logo.
no, absolutely.
All right. Well, anyway,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for joining us on the CP TC Stream. So for Coach Matt, Coach Spencer, Coach Cal, we're just calling him a coach.
Yeah, no, he's he's on
today,
staff
for
now.
sure.
This is Sean Albrecht, and I hope you have a great evening, and hope to see you next week. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.